Just a couple of guys, a couple of microphones, and a heck of a lot of know. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
What they say, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee, and alongside of me over there is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
Welcome, Know-It-Alls. Back for another edition of Football on the Know Show, where you can talk with us about anything you want about football or things of that nature. We're going to be talking about a lot this episode. We got a few things on the docket, something that's going to be kind of very close to the vest. I think we should jump right into it. Is Damar Hamlin and how he's in the hospital right now from the Bills and Bengals game. Sadly, you know, he had a cardiac arrest on the football field and gets rushed to the hospital. So far, the only kind of updates that we have for you is that he is at least stable. He is trending towards the in the right direction. The next hurdle for him and his family is for him to be able to breathe on his own. But at least we got a little bit of positive news on it.
Yeah, I know, because, I mean, last night when we were all looking at that, or it wasn't now even last night, the night before, Monday Night Football, we were all anticipating a really great game that had implications on seeding altogether. I mean, the Bengals are in the mix, the Chiefs in the mix, the Bills are in the mix, and we knew this game, like, right before, you know, early on in the season. We highlighted this one, you and Joe and I, you know, we wanted to maybe try and do a live show for this one. It was an upcoming thing. Even though the Bengals, you know, had started off a little slow, we were anticipating this matchup. And we get into it, and the crowd's fired up. You know, the jungle's roaring like we thought it would. And then it seemed just like a routine hit. And, you know, Damar Hamlin, you know, makes the tackle, even stands up. And then you see that moment where he does the whole wiggle and then fall to the back, and you see him hit his head and everything. And we've seen some instances like this when guys go down and you know, eventually, you know, the stretcher comes out or something, but you're looking for that thumbs up, and it was different. And, you know, the announcers do their thing, and they have to do whatever they can to do their job. And when they're affected the way they were, and you see the players' reaction, they reacted then differently than I've seen players react before to some of these injuries. And the fact that when a lot of time had passed and they had said they had brought out even a defibrillator, and then we're doing CPR 9 minutes after he had already just went to the ground, you knew it was something intense, and it was a solemn moment. And the way, you know, everybody was kind of reacting onto the fly situation, it was rough, and it was tough to go through and watch, and you're anticipating what was going to happen. And at that point, the game didn't matter anymore.
Yeah, the biggest problem with all that is how long they were doing CPR for, and how you need to be immediate. Like that's the type of thing where cardiac arrest happens. It's got to be immediate. So, like, the medical professionals will tell you, like, a minute, if you're able to get there under a minute and perform CPR, there is 100% chance of recovering. 2 minutes, it drops from there, 80%, and so on and so forth. So, for the fact of at least the medical personnel were there in time, like, to kind of, like, jump in right away. But I just don't know, like, they did their best. Let's just face it. They did their best. Now, were they able to do what they could? Did they react quick enough to help this poor man in his efforts to get better? So, like, that's what everybody's hoping right now. Will he make this turnaround that we're hoping for, that we're praying for? And his family and friends are surrounding him, you know, and they're encouraging and hoping that, you know, they give us a little bit of feedback from time to time, which is kind of helping us keep staying in the loop. But at the same point in time, it's like there's not a whole lot to go off of right now. So whatever little bit of positive news, we are glad to take it. And hopefully that, you know, he makes a full recovery after this. But more than not, just worry about the player. That's what this is all about. Like, I know there's some people out there, and it's absolutely disgusting on some of the comments that were being made that night about, oh, well, this is going to screw my fantasy team. And oh my God, how are we postponing this game? We need this to happen tonight because a playoff race is going on and because this, that, and the other thing. No, this is about life. This is about being a human. Like, this is the real deal. Like, you don't ever wish anything like this for anybody. I don't care if you hate the football player. I don't care if you hate the team. I don't care if, you have something riding on the game. This is a matter of life and death. So that was one thing that kind of really bothered me that night. But hopefully DeMar Hamlin, he is going to make the good turnaround here. Hopefully he's going to get better every single day. And we'll have to wait and see for more updates.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we're changing our setup of our show here. Again, as I moved, we said we were going to make changes to the studio and stuff. And as you can see, cosmetically we are and stuff. But it is the new year. It's 2023. And that means new beginnings for us here in Football on the Know and Godzilla Media. We've got a lot of plans for the future here this year. But one of them is also to introduce our new producer and part of our show, Mr. Cody Cook, behind the scenes here. Cody, why don't you say hello to everybody and tell us what's going on?
Hey everybody, happy to finally be an official part of the show, more than just my couple amazing, guest appearances, the 2 times with Jimmy in the bunker, and I think it's another time hanging out with them. And on a side note, we do have our first comments of the night with Chris Simpson tuning in.
What's going on, Chris? Welcome to the show.
Yep, he's got a message for Joe. He said, you better sell that Carr jersey while you can, Joe.
Nope, not happening. That's my guy.
Stupid idiot.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? I mean, if you look at that, the Carr jersey, I mean, a lot of people are already talking speculation about, what if Carr goes to the Jets now? Does that make them a different team next year?
He's not going to the
And,
Jets.
It's crazy with all that stuff, nonsense going on. But yeah, Chris Simpson, he's a good know-it-all that's with us here. He's a Giants fan. I know he's probably excited about the Giants securing a playoff spot. First time since, 2014, I think it was, or something they had said. Or 16 possibly, 2016. It's been a while, but yeah, the DeMar Hamlin thing, it's been something intense, and it's kind of strange with that injury. It's something that is so that had to be the right spot at the right time at the right moment that all that happened. Because my wife, when she watched it and she was able to see what happened, she already kind of figured out kind of what it was.
Yeah,
and what it is that strike upon the chest. It's at a certain part of your chest right there where your heart meets the rib cage or that skin lining. There's a thin part of skin just where the heart rests there. Yeah. All the other spots are kind of fine here, but right at that weak spot, that's where and I think it was Higgins' elbow happened to strike when he went and make that tackle and hit right at that right spot, which sent a surge of potassium to that spot and against that wall and that lining and that tissue of the heart, which created that, and they call it commotio cordis, and it's Greek for heart, aggregation or something like that, aggravation, but it's like a 1 in a million chance at that timing and where it happened, where his heartbeat, that millisecond between there. And like I said, it's something that we've never witnessed before, and it's pretty scary stuff.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely scary because I feel like a lot of people really were shook that night. Like a lot of people, when you see an injury like that, player down, even if he's just laying down, unconscious or something like that, we've seen concussions be really serious on the football field. And then all of a sudden, everyone's kind of gathering around wondering what's wrong. Oh, it's just a concussion, because we know that as to be more of a common thing now. So, that as far as a concussion goes, that used to be the real serious deal. You know what I mean? It's still serious, don't get me wrong, but that used to be what we saw in the Bengals-Bills game, where he was unconscious and people were really worried. And that's the thing is this type of injury, you're right, it's not common. It's not the type of thing where you take it lightly. This thing doesn't happen very often, but it does happen to all athletes. We've seen it happen in football before. We've seen it happen in soccer. There's been cases of it happening in soccer. So it's not something that we haven't ever seen before, but the rarity of this type of injury is really what kind of, what kind of jolts you, for
absolutely.
seeing it. That was the very first time that I've ever seen something like that in sport.
Mm-hmm.
So it was almost, not only was it shocking, but it's it makes you think about everything. I started to reflect on different aspects of my life and that this type of injury, something this, tragic, can happen to not only anybody, but any age. And that's the crazy part. Because we've seen numerous, injuries or people even passing that are young, to middle-aged, to old age. Like it's very, very crazy, for this to happen in a sport that we all love. Yeah. And hopefully DeMar and his family and friends, we send prayers out, our condolences out to you guys. Bills Mafia, we know that everybody, all 32 teams, in fact, this week are going to pay tribute to DeMar Hamlin with the number 3 decal on their helmets and stuff, because this is bigger. This is bigger than just football. This is life. So it's really cool to see that all 32 teams are not only donating and helping any way that they can, but also they're right behind him. He's got the support.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and you see how when they talk about it too, it's like when they decided to cancel the game, or we were waiting to see if it was canceled or not. Because again, everybody's talking about it and like, hey, dude, they got to cancel this. They can't keep playing it because again, when you think about it as a player, like Stephon Diggs trying to get everybody amped up too to get back into playing and stuff, but. Dude, how do you get back into that and then change those emotions? You don't. And it's just crazy. But I know Tom Leiter's in the house with us tonight, right, Cody? What do we got here for the comments here? He's another know-it-all. What does he got here, Cody?
All right. So we got 2 comments, actually. We got Seattle could make Carr a star.
Oh, he thinks he wants Seattle over there in his team. He's a Seahawks fan.
Yeah, I don't think you can make Carr a star. I think Carr is already a star.
Right there,
I think he's been a star.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, then we got a second one. When someone starts performing CPR, they often strike the patient in the chest to start the heart.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. See, our very own OG know-it-all, Tom Leiter, is dropping some medical knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely. My wife almost wanted to even come down on our show and be like a sports medical professional down here. But
we could have put her on. She couldn't be our medical professional.
She can.
She can be like right here.
Absolutely.
We'll put the camera on her, and she can be like, hey, so what about this injury?
Right.
What can you tell us about it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I like it.
Yeah. So I mean, in that game, in not playing it has other implications we're going to get to, but yeah, that's an important thing that had happened with everything. And again, sending prayers to DeMar Hamlin and his family and everything that's going on. But Bills Mafia, they responded too, and so did others, and donating to his charity too. I mean, that thing exploded. Huge. So way to show love with everybody, and everybody showing love out to DeMar Hamlin.
And one of our know-it-alls actually posted it in our group, and stated that at the time that he's posted it, it went from like a few 100,000 to overnight generating 3 million.
Yeah.
So, there really are true people out there. There really are genuine people out there that, that really stick behind people, really trying to help everybody, no matter how hard the times get. So, truly amazing story already. Not just the Hamlin part about how now he's trending upward. So there's some hope, there's some promise there, but also for everybody, and I mean everybody, NFL like or outside of the NFL, helping, donating to his charity, helping his family out. Any way they can. Bills Mafia included. Like, of course they're going to be behind him. So it's absolutely amazing to see everybody come together when they need to. So.
Yep, absolutely. So we'll look into that. Tom Leiter also says being so brutal is a large part of the reason the sport is so popular. But yeah, when something like that happens, it is pretty crazy. But I want to also give you guys time to, let's pull away from that here and get started to talk about some football and some situations. But I'm going to tell you guys about our friends at Paul Perry Kitchens that help our show grow the way it has been doing, Joe, and helping us out with our live shows and everything that we do. They've been with us for a long time here, and you know what? They take care of us, and they're going to take care of you. That's right. They're right there on 115 Freeman's Bridge Road. Check them out in Glenville. Now they're only at one location. They had to 2, but you know what? They said we can deliver all of this in one building. It just makes sense. Why send people to do 2 different places on the same road? We're just put it all right there. It's like a one-stop shop. You got your custom kitchen, you got your custom closets, your glass for your showers, your awesome custom showers, and then screen repair, glass repair on top of it, Joe. It's everything all in one bundle. Check them out there in Freeman's Bridge Road, 115 Freeman's Bridge Road, or paulperrykitchens.com. Tom, where your only limitation is your imagination out there. So there you go.
Boom. There you
Boom.
go.
You like that? That's a good line,
job.
but you can get in trouble with that type of line. You know what I'm saying? Because then a lot of people imagine a lot of crazy stuff. Like Paul Matty's imagine, can they do my sex swing or sex chamber
what was
last
that?
week
What
or
was
something?
that going on last
What
week?
is going on with that, dude? That is messed up with this sex chamber.
Can
The
they
crowd's
customize
excited
that?
about that. Yeah, they're cheering for it. Right? They want the sex chamber. But all right. So, anyways, Joe, let's talk about something a little lighter here. Now that that game didn't play, though, there are implications now about this whole thing because even it's right in fantasy football, like the finals, the Super Bowl, I mean, championship week. And then all of a sudden, some people, I'm sure, because again, the way the Josh Allen, he's a star player, Stephon Diggs, these guys, Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, everybody, all those guys, Jamar Chase, these are star players that are on rosters that are in championship games right now. And now when the NFL comes out and says, no, we're just not going to play this game this week. Well, what happens then? I know. I think NFL and some of the other, the fantasy groups had said, now then it's just flat zeros or whatever it ends up being. That has been a major impact. We've never seen anything like this before, I think, in fantasy football. I don't do fantasy anymore, so why don't you take it? You guys, you and Cody, take away on this one. What do you think?
I mean, honestly, like this is one of those most difficult situations that you have to deal with as a commissioner.
Oh,
Like,
boy. Everybody's asking, looking for questions.
Everybody's
answers, right?
wondering, what do I do? I mean, how do we figure out some kind of point system to kind of like make this thing work? And really, I mean, it's unprecedented. There's no good way and there's no real bad way to handle this. It's basically going to come up to the commissioners out there, what they think, what they want to do. And I understand, like, there's going to be money on the line for some of these leagues. There's going to be pride from these leagues. There's going to be some punishments on the line for these leagues. So you don't want to be the loser, obviously. However, if you happen to have a fantasy player in that game, it's tough. Like, for a commissioner, and I was talking, me and Cody were talking, I think last night about this, and because Cody runs a league, I stopped running 2 leagues this year to take a break. And I told Cody, I'm like, what I would do, honestly, is act as if that game it didn't play. So you can't warrant points. You can't fabricate, or project like, oh, well, the projection was 19 for this guy, so I'm going to give you 19 points. Or, you know what I mean? Because it didn't really happen. So, I mean, like, for me, you have to almost act like it didn't happen. If it's, don't get me wrong, it sucks. Like, if you're one of those guys that have those certain players and you're really kind of banking on them, obviously, to help you win a championship. But there is one other alternative, is if you didn't want to do that route, it's more than likely, like, it was a championship game. It could go either way. As long as the score isn't lopsided, maybe you could both agree on maybe splitting the pot. And maybe that could be a fair decision as a commissioner. What do you think, Cody?
All right, so with my own league, I think because he had Joe Mixon remaining, I had a 15-point lead.
You're talking for your championship?
Yeah, for my championship personally. I think what I'm going to do is going to be a split pot with Jamie. I just think it's fair. Joe Mixon very easily could have had 15
Government
or more.
name. Don't drop that. Come on.
But in my other league, I'd be a little mad. He had Josh Allen, and he needed like 35. So
what's going on
It
in the
all
other
depends on
league?
the scenario.
Is the other league, how are they
have
handling it?
I have to talk to Sean still.
Okay.
I was kind of
Government
waiting
name
for
again.
Yeah. Way to go. You're good at doing that. Just talking about, but that's what I know. We're going to find out this about the Sean.
Yeah, they're going to watch and be like, oh, you said my name. I didn't give you permission.
Yes. Lawsuits coming.
That's it.
But yeah, I got to talk to
Done.
him, see what his plans are. There's no
Okay.
good or bad way you could go about it, but regardless,
Right.
I'm not looking to stir the pot too much.
And that's the thing, is like it's definitely something that you can't prepare for, because this is something that does not happen. It's very rare for this kind of a tragedy to happen, to where your game just stops. They have to postpone or cancel it. What do you do in the fantasy world? Like, to me, like, listen, there's
I do a lot in the
just like
fantasy
we've been
world, Jeff.
talking about for a long time, is how serious this is. This is more about life and death. So, like, you got to see eye to eye. Like, I really do like what you did, Cody, in terms of, okay, we had a championship game. It wasn't lopsided. So let's just split the pot.
Yes.
Let's just make it even. As long as you agree, this is kind of like the fairest way, I guess.
Yeah.
Out of the situation.
I wanted
It's
to
within
make
shooting
sure,
distance.
unlike most politicians, that what I said was fucking stupid.
That's it. There you go. You heard it from
Yeah, and that's
Trump.
what Cody was trying to do here on this situation. That's tough. I'm glad I don't do fantasy anymore because that'd be sitting with this situation.
No,
I
Jimmy,
would have lost
possibly.
it probably,
You might not even have a player in.
I
in
know.
that game.
I know. That's
Yeah.
true. You never know, but it's tough with that. But now when you talk about implications, not even besides fantasy.
Now
this
about
makes
the game.
the scenario different. The game, when do you play it? I mean, we talked about this off air too.
Yeah.
What do you guys think out there in the comments? Let us know in the comments. What do you think's the best situation for the NFL to do on this one? Here, Tom Leiter chimes in about the fantasy. What does he say?
He said, play only defense and kickers in the championship game.
There you go. How about that? There you go. That'd be nice.
That's too stressful for me.
But yeah, so
Yeah,
I mean, what do you guys
right.
think about there in the comments? Let us know, because I was thinking again, just the way the Pro Bowl has been, it's so bad that now they've moved it to a flag game that nobody cares about again. What a perfect opportunity now for this to just you can move it away. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that, this is a great opportunity because of the injury and stuff. I'm just saying we need to see this game play out because there are implications in the way these teams
It's
are
very
seated
important.
and where they get that one sole single bye week, which is important to these teams. And they need to play it. So do you push a week back, where it would be your normal wild card weekend and bump everything up into that Pro Bowl week that they have prior to the Super Bowl and just kind of skip that week off in between and just continue on and just go.
That honestly would be the most logical and best way to handle it. I mean, because it doesn't interfere with their game this week. You know what I mean? Because they got to play Week 18 still, and it's going to be very, very difficult, obviously, for the Bills and the Bengals to play Week 18. But nonetheless, the business doesn't stop. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, we can't just put the brakes on and just stop everything. So it's going to be very difficult for those players that have not only witnessed it, but people that view DeMar as a brother, as even close as a family member. They're part of their team. That's a very, very sacred thing in football. When you get to know each other and you're going out there week to week and you're battling other teams and always behind each other's back. So for going forward into Week 18, even though they got to play Week 18, it's going to be very difficult for both teams to do so. I don't know what that's going to, how much that's going to come into this week's performance, because there's going to be a lot of thoughts. There's going to be a lot of emotions, but also like a flashback, because you step back on the football field a week later after that kind of thing happens, and it's like, wow, like it takes you back. So I wonder how that's going to affect both teams, but they got to try to do their best and push forward here for Week 18. Now, when you decide to push things back, and listen, I think the NFL would be kind of in favor of it too, because that means they get another week of revenue. They get and I hate to turn it that way, but let's just face it, the NFL is all about money. Yeah. And if they shift all these games back, shift the wild card back, and so on and so forth, just to play the Bills and Bengals game, I think that's the most logical way. I think that's the best way, so that way it doesn't interfere with the schedule necessarily. You know what I mean? And it doesn't interfere with the upcoming games. But this is the type of game, like you mentioned, it absolutely needs to happen, because this is going to possibly determine who either keeps the number one, like the Bills are number one seed right now. Can they get the win to stay at one? Because if they lose and then the Chiefs win again, and maybe, you know what I mean? So, I mean, there's a lot of variables, a lot of things that still have to take place to figure it all out. But it's very critical, this game, for one, because the Bengals, I think, are third? They're the third seed right now?
Yeah, they're right there.
I want to say.
Yeah.
So they're also, like, if the Bengals win, Bills lose, and the Chiefs lose, ooh, Ooh, now Bengals right at there, slip right in there. So a lot of things are on the line, and I think that's the best way because that way you don't interfere with any kind of like trying to pull off a doubleheader, which is impossible. Guys got to heal.
You don't want a short week.
And then by doing that, okay, we get like an extra game for the season. So I think you hit the nail on the head on that one. I think that's the best way to handle it.
Absolutely. Cody, what do you think about this one here too? What do you think about that? And then that's even thinking about moving the Pro Bowl, maybe even still play it, but after the Super Bowl, then you can still do it. Because changing that date really doesn't matter. You can still keep the Super Bowl on that date that it originally was. It's not like moving everything back a slot.
Yeah.
So that would probably work.
But if you do that too, to that point, if you move the Pro Bowl back to where it was after the Super Bowl, it's also going to, it might even boost the Pro Bowl. Yeah. It might even boost the amount of people that are going to be willing to go because now it's like you got athletes, celebrities, you got even people that can plan after it. Like you might have some people that are going to the Super Bowl or somehow they won tickets. But now it's like we had extra money, so we plan on going, but now we can go to the Pro Bowl too. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, and granted, like we always complain about the game of the Pro Bowl, and how of a laughing joke it was because one, players are kind of just going through the motions, and two, it really wasn't that interesting because they're not playing that all out. So now to bring it to like more of a games. Like
when it starts even like Jerry Rice will pick his team and this guy will pick his team, I think that's lame. It's going towards
I hope
the
they do
NBA
something
and stuff,
too to include the fans. Yep. Like for that Pro Bowl game, you could be the coordinator. You know what I mean? As silly as that sounds,
make it a
just
fan
pick
experience.
Plays. Yeah.
Cody, what do you think?
All right. So I think it'd probably be about the best way you could handle it. I can't think of many other scenarios other than moving that Pro Bowl game back, making it so we can actually see that game that's going to essentially determine the 1 seed in the AFC this season. I mean, there's no other scenarios I can think of off the top of my head that'll actually work without making the teams play back-to-back games in like a 4-day span. That just wouldn't work for anybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's a situation that's faced with us here after this game. And so the fact that they're not sure what's going on, we'll keep an eye on that, as we go. But you for sure they've got to play it because, again, playoff scenarios that are going to be brought upon us here the next week or two. It's a seeding altogether, so you got to find out who it is. Joe, why don't you tell everybody out there and all of our know-it-alls about our friends here at Mohawk Honda, people that take care of you as well.
Let's go. Mohawk Honda, everybody. Listen, this sponsor of ours, I mean, they've been with us for quite some time, too. They've been great to us, but they've also let us know that, they're always the best ones to go to. They can establish that relationship. They can walk you through step by step to show you the best way to maybe purchase a vehicle, or even if you wanted to possibly trade in your vehicle. A lot of times with Mohawk Honda, they'll be able to give you more value than you thought you could ever get. And if you do that, that's just going to help you in the long run to purchase a vehicle. And right now is the perfect time. If you're looking for a four-wheel drive vehicle and it's winter time up here in the Northeast, it's perfect. They got Passports. They got new Ridgelines. They got new Pilots coming in. Anything that you would need to take on the winter season, they have for you. They have a fully stocked inventory, and more inventory keeps flooding in. So they are the #1 dealer in the capital region up here in upstate New York. But go down, check them out. Ask for Greg Johnson. Ask for Scott Moynihan. Those are the big wigs over there at Mohawk Honda. Maybe make sure you hook up with them. They're going to direct you in the perfect path to go down to maybe purchase a vehicle for you, and the best way, cheapest way you could possibly get. But Mohawk Honda, where they always go out of their way to please you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Mohawk Honda, we love them. They're there again on Freeman's Bridge Road as well, and they really do go out of their way to please you, whether it's the online experience or the sales representatives too as well. So yeah, we talked about it a little bit before, but we're going to get right into it now. The exciting things that's going on in the end of this season here. It's the NFL playoff scenarios that are facing us here now. This next 2 weeks here now. Well, now it's finally the final week, but because of that game now, there are serious implications between all this now. So if you look at the seeds that are there, the top seeds, we were just talking about them, the Chiefs and the Bills and the Bengals. Cody, do you know the scenario here, how these guys can clinch here in the beginning here? I know the Bills, if they win 2 wins, then they're in. See, that's what I mean. They've got the win there. But and what else? Said if they win at the Bengals and a Chiefs loss, and then the win versus the Patriots, and the Chiefs and Bengals lose in the final week here, that's the scenario that the Bills can clinch. But what's going on with the Chiefs and the Bengals, too, on this one?
All right, so before we get into that, we do have one comment that came in about what we were talking about earlier from Tom Leiter, that I'm sure people already have flights and rooms booked in regards to
for the
moving
wild
dates.
cards, yeah.
True.
Yeah.
But that's easily changeable. I mean, obviously, like there's going to be times like with work, like you took off work to make it to there at that time. I'm sure, like,
and then
you got
even
early
people
enough
that went there to that game too to go, and then it's postponed, and then they gotta.
But you
figure
got
out what
early
time they
enough
can go to that
notice
one, too.
to where like maybe you could go back to work. Like, hey, could I change my time off to this week instead? And then just kind of the NFL would actually grant that. Like the hotels and stuff, I'm pretty sure would be okay with it as long as they have everything open. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the one thing that you got to worry about is like booking hotels, because if it's not booked, they're good. They can make that switch. But if they're already got those rooms booked for the following week or something, then that's kind of tough.
Yeah,
you'd have to find a different spot.
I don't know, but like I said, there are implications to this, Cody. And what else? What do we have here with the top 3 seeds? The number 1 seed right now is the Chiefs at it.
Yep, as of right now, because of the Bills not playing the game in order to keep that percentage up, so the Chiefs currently have the edge until we figure out what's going on with what they're going to do with the Bills-Bengals game. Mm-hmm. But up in there, obviously, you got the Bengals, who they would need to win both of their games, and they need the Chiefs to lose this last game if they want to secure the 1 seed for themselves. And the Bills, they got to win these last 2 games, or they got to hope that the Bengals and the Chiefs both lose their Week 18 games if they go, say, 1-1 across the board.
Yeah, which are, it's if you look at this scenario with some of these teams, too, I like how the NFL does this towards the end of the season. Puts like the tough divisional game matchups together, because we talk about it all the time. These games are close most of the time. You know what I mean? They teams know each other. No matter what your record shows, it could be tough. And then some of the teams are already both vying for a playoff spot, so they're hungry. So some of these games, you could see them, getting a loss here or something like that. The Ravens pulling in on this one, but what's their scenario with Lamar and the Raiders? They played hard last week. Put up some points, but we're just shy again of pulling out a victory for them. But they compete all the time here against the Chiefs too, especially at home.
Yeah, it's awfully funny how that works. You jettison Derek Carr out of there and blame him for the poor offense.
Yeah, we've seen things like this happen for us, Giants fans.
Everybody was kind of laughing with Jarrett Stidham coming in there. I know I was like, this team is going to get destroyed,
right?
Because I didn't know what to expect from Stidham. 1 and 2, it was his first career start. Mm-hmm. So I mean, what can you really expect from a young quarterback at that point, coming in that late in the season? So it's like. But they put 35 on the number 1 defense in the NFL. Mm-hmm. That just goes to show you that there's further evidence of Josh McDaniels sabotaging Derek Carr and blaming him for everything. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that was kind of laughable to see that. And then, hey, guess what, everybody? Now everybody's spinning it as,
play to win
by the way, it's the defense is the problem of the Raiders. All of a sudden, how that changes. You can't blame Stidham. He did good, right? He scored 35 points against the number 1 defense, but
that is one big pile of shit.
Gotta blame the defense now. All of a sudden, now everyone's starting to get it. So it's just kind of crazy. Like for the Raiders to do what they did against the Niners, offensively.
Yeah,
and with a backup quarterback. Mm-hmm. I mean,
it just shows what the potential like you thought you might be able to see this year with the Raiders. You know what I mean? In that offense, it is kind of seem weird that his guy goes in or whatever with the system.
Oh, it's not weird. We saw the play calling was much better.
Yeah. It's like Cody had brought it up before to me. It said it's funny how they can get them involved in the offense now. Derek Carr all of a sudden, right?
And then when Carr was there and they were healthy. They held him out of the Rams game. They were due to come back that week, and they're both healthy, and they still kept them inactive, still didn't play them, and, then the following week, they came back off of IR, but they were only playing limited roles, limited snaps. They're only playing on third downs, which was kind of odd, And then all of a sudden, now that Carr's gone, they're playing full time. So call it what you will, but very sus.
Very sus. Oh man, it is. It's
You chose one.
Absolutely. So again, we're sticking with the AFC here when we're looking at the playoff scenarios here. AFC North title now. Again, the Bengals here, 11-4, clinch with a win versus the Ravens, or a win tie versus the Bills. So that's where they could have maybe already clinched if they beat the Bills or tied against the Bills in this last one. Yep. So if they win against the Ravens here, it's all said and done, though, either way. So if they get it here, but that's going to be a close one. But that's again, tough. That is depending on what the Ravens do with Lamar Jackson. And that, to me, kind of looks kind of shady, too, because Lamar Jackson, again, not even dressing, really. I mean, are they just truly resting him for the playoffs, or is it partially him, too, saying, well, I'm not good to go yet, too, and using that as, because he is his own leverage, too, is his own agent for get that payday. So, hey, I'm not stepping foot on here until first we get into the playoffs, and then I'll show you what I do, or maybe even until I get something from you guys saying that you're going to pay me right now.
That's the crazy thing about
look
that
what's happening
situation,
when I'm not in there.
Is you got Lamar Jackson as his own agent, and the funny thing is if he's holding out, they might miss the playoffs. Yeah, there's a scenario where they don't make it, and Lamar Jackson, you got to be careful, because don't you want to not only make the playoffs, but also you want to get to that big dance, and the only way that Baltimore can do it is with you in the lineup. So I don't know going forward, is this a smart play by Lamar? I don't think so. I feel like he looks healthy. I mean, I know looks are deceiving, but I see him on the sidelines all the time. He's laughing, joking, kind of moving around like all natural, and like nothing is bothering him. And I gotta wonder. Yeah, and Tyler Huntley is getting beat up. Yeah, poor Tyler. I feel bad for him. And the crazy thing is, like, for Tyler Huntley, he's like trying to keep the ship afloat, but he's no Lamar. So he can only do so much. I feel like they're asking too much of him at times to be kind of more like a Lamar Jackson. He's a different type of quarterback. So for Lamar to still not practice, even as of today, hasn't practiced yet, which is very concerning for the Ravens. I don't know if he's handling this situation the best as his own agent, but secondly, they need Lamar. They really do. You can definitely see that offense kind of dive a little bit in terms of production. You look at Tyler Huntley. Obviously, his favorite target is the tight end.
Mark Andrews. So same thing with Lamar. He's there, and it's like crazy how even that guy, they try and take him out of the game, and he still physically manhandles guys and gets into there.
It's not even physically manhandling. It's he has good speed for a guy his size.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is fun to watch.
He runs very good routes, and that's why he gets open a lot of times. So it's kind of hard when you're trying to make sure you cover the receivers at the same time. Now you got to worry about Mark Andrews up the middle. So Baltimore in desperate need of Lamar's return. I don't think he's even going to be going for this game. That's what it looks like. To not practice still, to be Wednesday, midweek, and you still haven't stepped foot on the football field, even in limited fashion. That's concerning. So I would bet that Lamar's not going to play this week, and it's going to be kind of scary because you got, and on the other hand, you got the Bengals and what they've had to deal with so far, and they're going to be home again, but man, it's going to be tough because not only that you're dealing with what has transpired last week, but also you're coming into a divisional foe that it's always a grinding black and blue type of game. These two teams go at it, so it could go either way. But I would favor the Bengals on this one without Lamar being there.
Yeah, and they just need to get that win here to clinch it for them. Cody, an interesting scenario here, too, for the AFC is the number 7 seed wild card spot here still open between a few different types of teams here. What do you have on this one here? I know the Patriots, the Dolphins, Steelers, and Jags are all involved in this one. What's the scenario going on here?
All right, so when we're looking at the scenario for the AFC this upcoming week, we got Patriots just need to win. They can win, they're in, but it's not saying the easiest thing this week is they're playing the Bills, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, win at the Bills.
Yep, Dolphins, they need a win and a Patriots loss. Steelers need to win with the Dolphins and Patriots both falling. And the Jaguars would need losses by the Dolphins, Steelers, and Patriots, and that's only if they fall to the Titans.
If they fall to the Titans. So,
if they hold the tiebreakers. I'm not sure if it's conference standings or head-to-head, but...
Yeah, and that's an interesting thing. And what about that division and how that division kind of flipped upside down, right? I mean, for a player like Ryan Tannehill, who I think has been overlooked his career a lot, I think, but then since coming to the Titans, has really rejuvenated his career not only, but now I think with a situation like this has really shown why they had to, give him that extended contract, and they needed him in there because with him not in there, they had Malik Willis that he gets injured, and now, who else
Joshua
is there?
Dobbs.
Josh Dobbs now. He just looks like he's in over his head, you know what I mean? And now the fact that, Derrick Henry injured on top of it, this team is a shell of its former self and just plummeting. In the meantime, you've got the Jags who are at the bottom trying to figure out what they were doing. At times they look good, but then at times the offense, sputtering and stuff. But now it seems like they're really clicking, and that offense is really putting up a lot of points. And they're surprising a lot of people. And now, like I said, how it's flip-flopped. And this division has really turned out after the beginning. When we tried to predict this division, Joe, it is nothing like I imagined.
Not at all. I mean, we thought, before the season that it would be the Colts. We thought they had a legitimate shot of taking over the division with a proven veteran quarterback in Matt Ryan. Yeah, he has his limitations just like anybody else, but we thought he gave them a little bump. But what we didn't plan for is the Colts' lack of tackles to pass protect for him. That was a bad season for any quarterback that stood behind that offensive line. They were constantly rushed, constantly pressured, and it led to some turnovers. It led to poor decision-making, and that offense kind of spitting and sputtering. And then on top of that, you sprinkle in Jonathan Taylor's, injuries that he's had to go through this whole entire season. So he's been in and out of the lineup. The defense actually has been surprisingly good down the stretch. They've been managed to kind of tighten some things up regardless of missing Darius Leonard and a few other key defensive backs. But they've been able to kind of down the stretch, they've played better on the football field. They've definitely tightened up on defense. But that offense, it fell apart. It isn't working. A lot of finger pointing going on Frank Reich. A lot of finger pointing going on like, hey, how are we going to fix this thing? Some people are even murmuring like moving on from Frank Reich and just kind of going a whole new different direction. So don't know how that's going to be headed, but that was the favorite coming in. We never expected the Jaguars to do what they've done so far with a first-time coach and Trevor Lawrence learning a new offense. And that defense looked promising, but man, did they shock us and surprise us down the stretch. They've been playing great football on both sides. And, hey, they're truly deserving of this division that's kind of fallen apart. And even Tennessee, like you mentioned, with the injuries and so forth.
Yeah. I mean, and again, the Dolphins in this situation still, but barely holding on because of injuries at the quarterback situation too. Now with them, it's so bad now that they have actually called upon Mike Glennon, right, to join the group here on the practice squad.
He's not quarterbacking.
A good old Periscope neck, and he's joined in the group. And
ostrich.
Yeah,
he is the human ostrich.
Right. But I mean, how good this team looked early on. You know what I mean? And the offense exploding. Tua, again, maybe the questions were maybe answered, how he can lead this team. You gave him weapons around there. They're looking good offensively. But then since, even his injury, just in playing some of these other tough teams, the losses piling on top of each other, and they are just plummeting. So much so now, we were talking about the Patriots out of all teams in this scenario here with a former defensive coordinator calling plays. Mac Jones getting upset with him on the sidelines, blowing up, people calling him a dirty player, and in turmoil. Patriots not looking exactly like the whole are. And then the Jets played themselves out of the scenario. I mean, this AFC East, we talked about it weeks ago, about debating that this might be one of the best divisions, in the league, along with the
most competitive
NFC East. I mean, they're right there. Like, wow, are these two of the best divisions right now? The way they're playing, but with injuries and the way they've been playing the last couple of weeks, some of these teams just plummeting, and now allowing teams like even the Steelers to even be able to play into this one is really interesting. What do you think, Cody?
It was definitely been interesting to watch when you see just how hot, teams like the Jets were. Teams like the Patriots were a little inconsistent most of the season, but it's like once they lost that momentum that had been getting them through each game, it was just a total deep dive. A lot of the games, at least for the Jets with Mike White, more of on the positive aspect, but whenever you had to get guys like Zach Wilson in there, it was pretty rough to watch. And then even Chris Streveler for part of a game, just painful. And the whole division, I don't particularly want either of them in the playoffs at this point, so I don't think there'll be much competition.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's nuts. But again, the fact that we were talking about the Jags being in this whole situation. Now, you know how they talk about with scenarios with head coaches, like who's the coach of the year? A lot of people think it's Brian Daboll too, how they brought the Giants into the playoff stuff. Maybe even Doug Peterson at this point, which how that team was terrible with the way Urban Meyer left this team, and now to make a playoff push like this and get it together within a year or two as well, he would probably be in a situation, to at least a conversation of something like that. But that's an interesting spot right there, dude, for the 7th seed in this AFC playoff tree. This year has definitely been a little different, Joe, wouldn't you say? And a little exciting, too. And the parity, it's all over the place, I think, this season.
I think that's the biggest difference this year in the NFL. It's like for once it's been something that I wouldn't say all of us wanted, because some of us, our teams were better than others. But like as a football fan, this is what you look forward to. Every single week, every game means something. Every single week, every game is close. There's not a whole lot of blowouts. You know what I mean? That happened very rarely this season. And that's something I hope that everybody would like to see. You want to see both teams in whatever contest to be competitive and to see those good games down to the wire. I mean, we've seen a ton of those games this year where it was decided by a field goal. Whether it be win or lose, and sometimes sudden death, sometimes, and going into overtime. It's been real exciting for football fans to kind of rekindles a lot of those old school games that were used to be like that, where it went right down to the wire, seconds away. No timeouts. You got to rush the kicking team out there and kick a field goal real quick to win the game. So a lot more excitement. We've seen a lot of a hell of really close games, and I think it's good for football. I think this is something that's really good for football. We've seen a crap ton of personnel changes this offseason, tons of trades that we normally don't get to see, big impact type of trades. Tyreek Hill leaving the Chiefs, A.J. Brown leaving Tennessee. Devontae Adams never thought he would leave Green Bay. So a lot of things have transpired in a short amount of time, and it's been really, really exciting this year of the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cody, why don't you tell everybody now, we're going to switch to the NFC situation here, and the number 1 seed now is getting a little spicy here at the end of this season now, too, with the way the Eagles were dealing with injuries, too, of Jalen Hurts and having Gardner Minshew in there, allowing maybe the Cowboys to sneak in there in this one.
Yep, the Eagles, it's been a little weird watching them lose the last 2 weeks when you just thought they've been waiting for them to lock it in. Even with Minshew, they've had 2 straight kind of heartbreaking losses. And going along with the Hurts injury, we've also not been seeing Lane Johnson, who's also been out, who's just a huge part of anchoring down that offensive line and a leader on the offense. And it's been right up there in terms of things just as important as Jalen Hurts being out. But with them losing these games, it has allowed teams like the 49ers to come back into the picture, the Cowboys to come into the picture, while it being a little less likely with the 49ers having an easier matchup this week versus the Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the situation here that they're facing, they need now to really win. I mean, before when I had talked about them when they faced the Cowboys, I thought maybe, and they looked at it as, well, we got Minshew coming in, he can fill the spot. We can maybe suffer a loss here, and then we'll just bounce back next week. But last week was supposed to be that next week, and it hasn't really happened. And like he said, it's even injuries on top of it. And now this defense that looked really good throughout the season is getting points scored on it too. So not really keeping them in these games. So on top of the compounding, turnovers by Gardner Minshew, you can't bounce back from that after that. You know what
It's
I'm saying?
really tough when your defense is on the football field a hell of a lot more. I mean, Gardner Minshew, I love the guy, but despite, a little bit of a rough patch on the offense, without Jalen Hurts using his legs and using his running mobility to kind of open up this offense and keep the defense guessing, we've seen with Gardner Minshew, it's a little bit different. It's ran differently. He runs the offense way different. He's not that kind of like high-speed mobile quarterback. He has ability to run, but he's just never has been that type of a guy. So the offense is going to change, and with that, you might trip over your feet a couple times. You're not getting those long drives, those scores at the end that you once were with Jalen Hurts at the helm. So another big thing, too, is when your defense is constantly getting on the football field, they get tired more often and faster. And then that wears on them later on down into the fourth quarter to the point where now they're giving up big chunks of yards. And the other thing that the defense sustained that was a big loss is Josh Sweat. Josh Sweat, the defensive end, the young defensive end that's kind of been preying on quarterbacks all season long. He goes down with an injury to his neck. Not sure how long he's going to be out just yet. Still waiting to hear some more feedback, more updates on that. But also, a positive for them is with Josh Sweat exiting, Robert Quinn is due to come back from IR. So a quick switch of the DNs is going to, help them out there. But going forward, this team, this is one of those things where we've always talked about injuries. You can't plan for it. Injuries are so important to try to help keep that team rolling regardless of how many you have. And this is the first time that the Eagles this season have had to face major adversity. They've had to play through missing their starting quarterback. They lose a DN this past week. They're starting to sustain some injuries to the starting rotation to where it's hindering their team. So let's see going forward with Hurts likely coming back. Let's see if they're able to overcome some of those injuries, especially defensively.
Right. And then if you look at the scenario here for them now, they just need to win against the Giants or tie, but it looks like they
That's
can.
gonna be a good game.
Last time,
Yeah.
it
That's
is
gonna be a
now.
good
I think
game.
it is the way the Giants have been playing, and now you got Gardner Minshew in there. Last time they got decimated by the Eagles, but this is a different team right now, like you're saying. I mean, and the way the Giants, if they can play well on all phases like they did last week, and
Right.
Daniel Jones do what he did too as well. I mean, 92 yards rushing or something like that, Cody, and almost 200 yards passing. I think he had 2 rushing touchdowns on top of it too. Plus
Dual
the passing.
threat.
Yeah, that's all balanced. That's the Daniel Jones we want to see. That's what we've been hoping that we would get. Week by week. Week
And
by
that's
week.
also the Daniel Jones that the Giants staff wants to see, and that's actually giving them a lot of trust now.
Yeah.
We've heard even rumors, I don't know how true they are, but they got to be somewhat true, is that the staff they like Daniel Jones. They're so much in love with Daniel Jones at this point that they're like, you know what? We could not only build a really good offense with him, but also we're gonna do our best to keep Barkley and Daniel Jones on this organization. So if they are able to do that, that's going to not only help the team because now they've made a decision where he's definitely the guy. He's definitely our franchise quarterback. We're going to roll with him, and we don't have to try to find all over again to find a new quarterback, which I'm sorry, but some people out there thinks it's so easy. It's very difficult. Let me just say this. Before Derek Carr with the Raiders, the last best quarterback that they had was Rich Gannon in 2002. Think about how long ago that was. That was the last time they had a good quarterback. So it's very difficult to find that type of franchise quarterback. It might be a very smidgen of success this time in this era where you see a lot more talented quarterbacks coming out of college, but it's still very, very difficult to find one. And I think the Giants have their guy. and Barkley, if they're able to do that and build that offense and build the defense, they got themselves a real contender.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and when you look at them, the way they've been playing, so this is going to be a closer game when these guys go at it here. So the Cowboys are watching it closely on this one because, again, if they can pull out a victory here and the Eagles lose to the Giants, I mean, that they flip-flop here. They've got it. They're in. But the Cowboys, now for the Eagles, they need the Cowboys to lose or tied to the Commanders. And at this point, if it's Carson Wentz, and what's going on with the Commanders again? They're just a joke now.
Wentz. It's not Wentz.
All right, they're going to put Taylor Heineke.
No, they're not putting
no?
Taylor
no?
Heineke.
Oh, my goodness.
Guess who they're putting in? They're putting in draft pick Sam Howell from North Carolina. Now,
all right. So,
listen,
is it safe to say now Ron Rivera's making is he cleaning out his locker now? It is his desk.
Honestly,
like what's going on?
Because here's the
situation.
There's obviously behind closed doors. There's disagreements on who should quarterback, who they should look at. You know, they already know that they're out of the playoffs. So now that that's happened, it's I think there's an ongoing debate. I think it's going to be between Ron Rivera. I think it's the offensive coordinator. I think it's the front office, the brass of Washington, how they want to attack going forward. Maybe they might be. Maybe Dan Snyder and his family don't like Taylor Heineke. Maybe they're say, hey, you know what? We're going to just do whatever we can in free agency. Maybe they're bringing in someone completely different next year again. Maybe they're going to draft someone this year. You know what I mean? So they could go a lot of different ways. But for them and Ron Rivera, that's to me, it's the most uncertain organization at this point. Like, we don't know what direction they're going to go in right now.
Yeah, even for a team that was right there on the cusp of making the playoffs, too, as well. I mean, they had a hard-fought game against the Giants, and the Giants ended up getting that victory in there, but they still, mathematically, still had a chance.
And it was a power struggle, really.
We got some comments here down here, Joe, too. Why don't we get to some of these? Some guys out here are with us here. They want to talk Giants here. What do we got, Cody?
All right, we got Joan. Who is this? Eric Bowers?
Eric Bowers in the house with us
What's
tonight.
going on, Eric Bowers?
Yeah,
There
he's
we
got the
go.
applause.
Yep, he says,
Cut it.
Jones needs some other wide receivers. Hodgins has definitely stepped up as the go-to guy besides James and Slayton, but it's a must-win game for the Eagles to secure the number 1 seed. Oh, and much love, Joe.
Much love to Joe.
Oh,
Absolutely,
wow.
man.
I appreciate that, brother. Thank you so much, Eric, and welcome to the show. It's been awesome. My man. Yeah, I like that. But yeah, I mean, this is what we're talking about. So this is it. In this week, it's very critical for a lot of things to happen. You know what I mean? You could lose a spot. You know what I mean? You could gain a lot. I don't know. I can't wait for the games to start because there's a lot of implications for sure.
Right. And then again, just for them to clinch too and get that to get the number 1 seed, it's 49ers loss or a tie versus the Cardinals, which is highly unlikely, but who knows? You never know. So that brings us to the 49ers too as well. They will clinch with any of the following here too as well. Win versus the Cardinals or an Eagles loss versus the Giants. So again, they're watching this one too, and
So
they're
you're telling
for
me
their
there's
own
a
thing.
chance.
So there's a chance even here too. So, and that's all for the number 1 seed. So this is a 3-way race too. So the 49ers are sneakily getting into this mix. And you want to talk about getting through injuries. This team has been the epitome of it. One, Trey Lance, they named him as the starter in the beginning. Boom, he's down, he's out. But luckily, again, they held on to Jimmy G in their back pocket. There he is, shining like, brass and gold right here for him and getting it done. But again, Jimmy G, he goes down with the injury. So Mr. Irrelevant. They bring him in here again. Brock Purdy, and everybody loves it, and he's just getting it done. You know what I mean? Riding on that defense, but with the weapons that you have too as well. I mean, it's hard not to, but that's what your job is as a backup to keep the ship afloat in these times.
Let's face it. I mean, this doesn't normally happen.
No, it doesn't. That's why I'm saying it's pretty spectacular.
Take a look at Brock Purdy, where he came
on.
from. Mr. Irrelevant draft pick, the last draft pick in the draft taken, and from Iowa State. Like everybody, all 32 teams overlooked, or 31 teams overlooked him besides the Niners. And when they were sitting there with the last pick, like, hey, we're going to take a shot in the dark on this kid. We like what he has. We like the head on his shoulders. He's very cerebral and
really nice.
accurate, and we like what we have there. He also has some mobility that we also like in our offense. So he comes in, and is learning under guys like Jimmy Garoppolo, who a vet. Trey Lance was supposed to be the starter, number 3 overall pick. So he better, do something to at least make this coaching staff look like they know what they're doing. And Lance goes down with an injury. Okay, well, they got Jimmy in their back pocket. They're okay. And then Jimmy goes down, and everyone's like, oh, gee. The Niner fans, I could only imagine the panic at that moment in time. They're like, now we're down to our third-string quarterback. Well, looks like we're screwed. But pleasant surprise, Brock Purdy comes in and just kind of manages the game, doesn't try to do too much, executes the offense extremely well, and is very poised. Like, he doesn't get frazzled. He doesn't, get pressured and misjudge the plays. So Niners have struck lightning in a bottle, I would say, because not only did they draft Trey Lance 3 overall, and they had Jimmy G in their back pocket, most likely going to be going into free agency and looking for another team this season. But now they have yet another quarterback where the most minimal draft pick you could ever use, and he could be potentially your starter. That's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a know-it-all in the house too, as well, right? Cody in the house. Who we got here?
Oh, yeah. We got Zach Walker hopping in.
Oh, welcome, Zach.
Boom. There he is.
Welcome to the show.
There we go. Hey, y'all. Oh, check it out. All right. Yeah, definitely. We're talking the scenarios here for the 49ers and the Cowboys and the NFC right now. And so it's a little harder for the Cowboys. It's nice for them if they do happen to get that, the Eagles do lose, so then they can instantly get the NFC East. That buys them a ticket instantly. But if the Eagles win, so then they have an issue. So then they do need the 49ers to lose and to get in and things like that to make it to the playoffs. So and beat the Commanders on top of it. So a little harder for them to be the number 1 seed. But it's still possible. There's still a chance.
It's
for
a
them,
chance, but not likely.
But it's not likely for these guys, especially the way they've been playing again. I mean, we talked about it the last couple of weeks. That defense too has had allowed. The people can still run all over them. Their corners are getting beat. At times too. Again, Trayvon Diggs, where you keep talking about him trying to anticipate the picks and the interceptions to where he's caught looking all the time and getting beat. But then Dak Prescott. He's been a turnover from a machine to where a lot of these Cowboys fans or whoever that want to talk great about how Dak Prescott is and his QBR rating throughout his career and all this crap throughout the season, he's really turning the ball over frequently the past couple of weeks here, and that could be detrimental when it comes to playoff time.
Obviously, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing too and everyone's kind of overlooking that Dak Prescott stat. The amount of interceptions he's thrown is only second to Derek Carr. So and that's crazy. Like Derek Carr threw, I think, 17 so far this season, and then Dak Prescott, I believe he has 14 or something like that interceptions this year. So a guy that a lot of people praise and say how good he is running this Cowboys offense and everything. And then he's second in terms of leading in interceptions, which is not a stat you want to lead in. So, and he's still playing. Carr's not. He's done.
Yeah.
So it very well could possibly in this week's game, maybe he throws 3 more. You know what I mean? And ends up tying them. So, and
he doesn't have the cushion of it being a new offense.
And the crazy thing is that Dak Prescott is not even being assaulted verbally or anything like that. Like, oh my God, he sucks. Let's change quarterbacks to Cooper Rush. You know what I mean? We don't hear any Cooper Rush chants going on and stuff because he's throwing picks. But it to me, like, that's what baffles me, as a football fan, when you see a quarterback that's struggling and everyone's kind of overlooking that. They're not even paying attention to that.
There we go. I actually got it up right here in front of me. We got
a
3-way tie for the top of interceptions.
It is a 3-way tie.
Yeah, between Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, and Dak Prescott.
Congratulations. You played.
Well, Kirk Cousins made up a lot of ground in the last 2 weeks. Yeah.
And he's back to regular Kirk Cousins, it seems like, Joe. Kirk Cousins that we all talk about.
I think Kirk Cousins played himself out of a contract.
Right?
Minnesota might be looking for a quarterback.
Fully guaranteed contract.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, no, it's his last year.
Yeah.
So he's not going to get a new one unless you want to take a low ball offer somewhere else.
Mission failed. We'll get him next time.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, again, the way Minnesota, again, it looks, and the last week, again, falling flat on their face, it seemed like they didn't even show up for that game. But they've been having close games that they barely can pull out, whether it be luck or just miraculous get it together here. But they've been that team that everybody still, we're at week 18 right now, Joe. And I think people still have questions about the Minnesota Vikings and how good are they really, with everything.
I think
we
we're
know
seeing
Justin
that.
Jefferson is great. But if you look past that, what else do we have here for this?
And
team?
look at Justin Jefferson and his frustration last week.
Oh yeah, I bet.
I mean,
but
slamming the helmet on
he's
the
got to
field.
be,
you're not using him. Not using him enough, not making plays happen to get him open because I'm sorry, he's one of the best route runners in the game. So if one of the best route runners in the game is not getting the football, or you're not developing or calling a different play to get him open. I mean, come on, that's got to be. There's got to be some criticism on the offensive coordinator at that point. So,
oh man, and I just watched this play when Aaron Rodgers did that pump fake at the goal line and then just ran it in. Oh,
and not to mention,
so dirty.
You look at the Vikings defense and how inept they've been as of late. They're not playing solid football like we saw early on this season.
Yeah.
So it's going hand in hand. Offense and defense is kind of collapsing right before our eyes. Right before they had it's crazy about the momentum that they had once, and now it seems like limping into the playoffs. Like they could be one and done.
Yeah,
in round
as
one.
division leaders for them. Yeah, absolutely. But that NFC East title now is still up for grabs. We talked about again the Eagles and Cowboys. Eagles 13-3, Cowboys 12-4. Again, win versus the Giants or a Cowboys loss at the Commanders. The Eagles got the title, and the Cowboys need to win against the Commanders and the Eagles to lose to the Giants, which could happen under Minshew. It's going to be interesting. That's going to be a good game. I'm fired up as a Giants fan. Watching them the way they played last week was really exciting to watch too.
I fully
It got me
expect
fired
Hurts
up,
to
too.
be there though.
Yeah, he
I
figured.
don't think
You would think.
this
It's
is a
good. They
big-
haven't said they had to walk. Go ahead, join in on this, Cody, because
Yeah, I
Cody's got
believe-
information on
I
this.
believe
so.
Hurts has actually been trending upwards. I believe he had a limited practice earlier today.
No,
So if
he's
they can
considered-
get him full practice in either tomorrow or
Right, that's good.
Friday. Then it's
He's considered
it'd
day
be
to
hard-
day.
Yeah.
It'd
So-
be tough to think they'd let him miss this game with the number one seed
And the
a bye
implications.
on the.
Right.
Yeah.
On the
That's what I
lines
mean.
here.
That's why they
Give
need
him a
him.
week
So
to rest his body. After
as long
this.
as he's healthy enough, like they say day to day. When they say day to day, that means he's pretty close.
Yeah.
Like it's almost a guarantee that he's coming back this week because of the importance. So nonetheless, it's going to be a hell of a game. I mean, this is
I hope
going to
so.
be awesome.
I hope it's not like the last game. So we'll see. We'll see what can happen here for this.
Maybe the
for these
Giants
guys,
learned
but-
some things last time.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
Yes.
Now let's skip to again the other scenario here for the NFC. We got the number 7 seed wild card that's still up for grabs here. Cody, why don't you tell everybody what's going on with that with the 7 seed in the scenarios that are facing all these teams here?
All right. Have that up here. We got the Lions, Packers, and Seahawks kind of in a little bit of a weird spot because if you look right now, it'll show the Seahawks at the top, but the Seahawks are not just winning it. They have to win, and the Packers have to lose because the Packers have a better conference record.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Lions, though, they are very dependent on they have to beat the Packers to get in, and they need the Seahawks to lose.
Mm-hmm. And the Packers, they need to clinch with a win versus the Lions, and the Lions have been a really tough team to beat too with the way that offense has been going for them. They've really been putting up a lot of numbers too as well. 2 teams with those guys and the Jags really becoming an explosion of offense right now at this point. Lions now for them to clinch, and again as you go through some of these teams in the NFC here, there is a longer laundry list of things that need to happen. So it is one of those things where so you're saying there's a chance, but it is a lot of scenarios that need to happen for some of these teams to make it. But the Lions at 8-8 clinch with a win at the Packers and the Seahawks loss or a tie versus the Rams, or a tie versus the Packers, Seahawks lost to the Rams, or a tie versus the Packers and the Rams, Seahawks tie and the Commanders win versus the Cowboys. That's a lot to be
I am
said.
very
which
confused.
I don't think is ever going to happen. See, that's what I mean. These scenarios
I think next time we need to put like a picture. Of
the graphic there, you know. But the Seahawks again clinch with a win versus the Rams, and the Packers loss. The Lions versus Lions, or a tie versus the Rams, and the Lions-Packers tie. Commanders lose versus the Cowboys. So those three major games right here are all the implications of what happens with this seeding. But with this scenario here, Packers, that is going to be a tough game. I think that's going to be a close one.
Yeah.
Seahawks and Rams, that's a different team under Baker Mayfield now. It just really is.
It's very different.
And I think they're playing better maybe even right now at this point. With the way with the personnel that they have available to them right now, doing something at least, because before it seemed like, again, trying to stick to the same old game plan. They didn't want to try and run the football at all. And
that's because that's not their makeup.
It isn't. But sometimes you got to play to what they give you. There's a different team that you're facing every week. I know everybody's got a game plan you want to get into and stuff, but you got to face what's in front of you and react to what's happening within that game.
Yeah, and that's
I
what
think
you're seeing
sometimes
now.
some of these offensive coordinators, Sean McVay, we've seen it in the Super Bowl, wants to still do what he kind of does, but not really reacting to what the other team's giving him and make this changes to become successful.
But that's what we're seeing from him now. We're seeing since the personnel has changed, Stafford's not in there. So he had to make things work with Wolford and hopefully kind of manage it.
Moly,
and now. You got a team that's decimated by offensive line injuries, and then he's managed to change that offense and kind of create it and change it into a more of a running style offense for Baker Mayfield. And this is something different for Baker because now with him at the helm, you're seeing a little bit different offense than what we normally see for the Rams. We're seeing Baker Mayfield, who also has mobility, unlike Stafford. That's what's changing this offense going forward. So you're seeing a different type. You're seeing a lot of different RPOs that you didn't normally see. You're seeing some jet sweeps. You're seeing from Tutu Atwell, who's one of the speedsters on that team. No Cooper Kupp, and they're still missing some. And they're still missing big Aaron Donald on the defensive side. They might as well just say, "Hey, you're on IR. You're done. You can retire if you want at this point. You made your money. I don't think you can't hang around anymore. Like there's no Super Bowl run anymore. We've seen the writing on the wall at this point. So for the Rams going forward,
there's two guys that
they're
were
just
pretty
making
much
it work.
retired that made the wrong decision and coming back, right? There's a few out there, right? But there's the playoff scenarios out there. It's just interesting to look at. Week 18, it's upon us, Joe. The season seemed like it just blew by. Like, what do you think, Cody? It just seems like the season has just kind of flown by with everything, right?
Yeah, for sure. It feels like, just yesterday we were starting off on week 1, and now here we are, week 18, talking about playoff scenarios. And, I'm actually in here instead of in the comments trying to wait for you guys
Feel
to
free
pick
to jump
me.
in, too, whenever we're talking about. Just you
And
got
that's the
something
other
on your
thing-
mind, because I see you nodding to some stuff, too.
That's
Just
the
go
other thing
ahead and
too.
bring up
Is this is how it always feels at this time, though. Like we always say this every single season, but man, it's flown by, hasn't it?
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Because this is one of those things, and that's why this is what makes the show great, is that we have such passion for the game that everything, because we enjoy doing this type of deal. Everything flies by. It doesn't drag on like baseball, for crying out loud. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I mean that's the thing, is like football. It's something that is it's a special sport. It's a team oriented sport, and this game, it flies by every season. Just like Cody was saying, week 1, it feels like we are week 1. All of a sudden we blink and here we are, week 18. We're in the last week of the season.
Yep,
it's crazy. Yeah,
absolutely, Joe. And again, it has flown by. It has flown by for everything. And you know what? It's been a crazy year for our picks too. Again, Joe, the yearly picks competition is going on.
It's
right
always
now.
crazy.
It is. And again, you've had me pretty much most of the season here going on, but it's been back and forth a little bit
I
here.
think you had me most of the season.
No, you've been on top, man. You've been a top dog. It's been tough. You've been on point the last year, then this year. it's tough. It's great too.
I
love the
disagree.
competitiveness, and we're talking about parity. This is the ultimate parity right now too, as well. But this with a season that it has been tough to get some of these games. You don't know what team you're getting, even with the injuries on top of it. But even showing up, some of them just don't show up at times.
Who are you kidding? I mean, look at what we've had to pick with. I mean, injuries we didn't plan on. Teams actually performing at certain times. The craziest thing this season was the first half. The first half, it's like, oh, I think I got this team figured out now. What the hell just happened? How did the Chiefs lose? What the?
Yeah,
you know
the
what I
Chiefs
mean?
lost to the Colts, right?
Yeah, exactly. They lost to the Colts. So it's like, it's something that you can never guarantee a win. And that's why it's any given Sunday. It doesn't matter what the matchup is. You never know what to expect.
Yeah, we had 2 ties this season too as well. But yeah, again, it's the picks competition. Mike Tackett's been keeping track of his out there. You guys keep track of yours out there. I know Cody's keeping track of his out there too as well. Yep. Cody, why don't you show everybody the stats of what we have here so far in the competition, see where we're at. Yeah, so again, after this past week, it was a tough one. We both did pretty well, but I was able to bounce back, and now we're completely tied, Joe.
That's right.
So it is all on the line for the drink here. That's right here. I've got it in my hand here. The bottle of this, it's a football-shaped liquor bottle here, and look at that nozzle on there too, man. And we fill this whole thing up with liquor, and it's not just beer. Like, we do put actual liquor and juice in there, and it is a blast. Tom Whiter knows. I know it also come out to watch that episode. It's like right after the Super Bowl. I think
We have some of the OG know-it-alls that it's like their favorite show of the year.
It is.
Because they get to see, drinking, and one of us is going to be severely punished.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be tight.
And
Joe.
now with Cody here kind of running the show.
Yeah.
I think it's going to add another fun element.
Absolutely. As he gets more comfortable, too. I mean, it's going to be fun. Yeah, absolutely.
By the way, everybody, this is Cody's very first show. It's his debut, and he's doing a very, very good job. I mean, this is
This has been
nice.
doing pretty well.
Yep.
Absolutely moving the camera around and everything.
Listen, I mean, we got as far as Facebook goes, we got 4 people checking in on the show.
All right, absolutely.
Just want to, grab your ears here. But listen, if you're new to the show, or if you know somebody that really does enjoy football and likes to talk and likes to banter, well, this is the place to go. We're the #1 interactive football talk show there is. Make sure you do us a huge favor, and believe me, this is a huge favor. If you could go over to YouTube, search us up, Football on the Know Show, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, let you guys know when we go live. And you can also follow us on Facebook, become a member, become a know-it-all. And believe me, every like, every comment, every subscription, every time you click that notification bell, it lets YouTube know that you want to see more of us. So that's going to help us boost up in the algorithm. So make sure you do that for us. Really appreciate it. Listen, the crazy thing about this is if everybody from Facebook goes over to YouTube tonight, tomorrow, whenever, and just click subscribe. That's all we're asking. You don't have to watch it on YouTube. But just click subscribe. And if you do that, we're going to have 900 members on YouTube and be so close to being a monetized goal. Yeah. We need 1,000 members over there. We're still climbing slowly but surely, but we need your help.
Yeah, we're about 900 on Facebook right now. So, that'd be awesome to build that up, too. So, it'd be cool. But, yeah, absolutely. Let's get into it, Joe. Let's get into the picks competition. We've got Cody here for this one, too, as well. So, this is going to be a lot of fun. Let's get it going. So Saturday, we're going to have Saturday games again. Everybody asked last week, too. They're like, are there games on this Saturday? Or like,
they did it last week, too.
They're all on Sunday, So, but now here they are.
Yeah, as they
They're
get
back
closer
on
to
Sunday.
the end.
So here they are again on Saturday. We've got some good games. I think that Tennessee-Jacksonville game is going to be close. But here we got the Kansas City Chiefs and the Vegas Raiders. Like I said earlier in the show, Vegas plays better at home. They really like being there at the Death Star and in the Black Hole and the Kansas City.
How could you not
going there? But instead of you saw a different offense going on here. But you say your head coach the way it is. But is that enough for the Vegas Raiders to pull out a victory here against the Kansas City Chiefs? I'm not a believer in it right now. Again, I'm riding here on the Kansas City Chiefs. They still need to lock in that spot. I think they're going to want to perform and do well. And I like the Kansas City Chiefs in this one. Not much to say about this one. What do you think?
I mean, the Raiders, they love playing spoiler. That's one thing they love to do. They love to play spoiler, especially for a divisional opponent. This is a game that doesn't mean anything to the Raiders but pride. I mean, this is something that the Chiefs have had their winning ways over the Raiders for many, many years right now. They kind of just know them to the point where they just end up beating them no matter what. But Vegas Raiders, their one drawback is their defense. That's the only thing that's kind of been haunting them this whole season, besides the inept play calling from the majority of the year, except for last week. But that's what holds them back from winning a lot of games. And because of that, I feel like that's going to be the difference in this game. I mean, can the Raiders defense, tighten up and do what is needed to do to help slow down Kansas City's offense and maybe get a couple stops throughout the game? If they can do that and keep playing the same offense that they did against the Niners, which was impressive, putting up 35, I think Vegas has a shot in this one, obviously, but I think because of their lack of defense and Kansas City is in so much need to win this game, because it means so much for them going into the playoffs, that I think Kansas City is going to come into Vegas and they're going to steal a win here.
All right, Cody, what do you got?
Yep, I'm not going to be breaking any trends. We're going to be sticking with the Chiefs. As much as I liked what I saw from Stidham this last week, really getting Waller, Renfro in the game plan while still letting Devontae Adams do what he does best, which is score touchdowns. I don't think it's going to be a very close game. I don't think we're going to see Stidham putting up 35-plus points again. I think this could be the kind of game that is close initially, but just turns into a runaway by the end. And we actually got another comment in. We got Brandon DeCapita.
Ooh, yeah.
Big bro. Big bro.
Yeah, there
we
he
were
is.
talking about
Welcome to the show, brother.
the YouTube subs.
Absolutely.
He said, let's go. And then talking, I don't know when he said it, but talking with the Chiefs Raiders, he just said nope.
Nope.
Maybe it was to the Raiders competing.
Maybe it did.
I
Yeah,
don't
computers.
know.
Yeah, probably not. Again, I
Doesn't
know
pay
he's
enough
not.
to the Raider
He's
games.
in your family, but he is not a Raiders fan. He ended up skipping that whole thing and found his own way in a shitty team,
He's
and
a
that's the
Falcons
Atlanta
fan.
Falcons.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. He found his way to another terrible team.
Apparently, he hasn't seen any of the Chief Raider games because they're like last game they played, and that was with Carr with a bad offense.
Yeah.
And they lost by 1.
Yep.
So yeah, they're always close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Cody, take us into the next one. We got Tennessee and the Jacksonville Jaguars. What do you got for this one, buddy?
All right, and that one, I'm hoping that we can see Derrick Henry really just take over in this game so we can keep it close. Because if we're being honest, Josh Dobbs is just not going to be able to do much. I'll be surprised if we even see him get close to the 200-yard mark in this game. And barring Derrick Henry going off for some crazy 200-yard, 3-touchdown game, I think Jacksonville is just going to be able to take this, and it might even get ugly if they can get an early lead.
Big question is,
Force
Cody,
Josh Dobbs.
is will Dobbs throw 1 touchdown pass?
That's a stretch. Maybe like a
What's
10-yard
the-
touchdown when they get into the red zone, but I don't see. He doesn't exactly have a cannon. Yeah, Jaguars easy for me.
All right, there you go. You've got Jacksonville on this one. All right, we going with the next one, Joe, or is it going to be me? It's me on there here, so I'll go with me. How about that? There you go. I don't know. Cody, just lead the show in this part, man. You rolled it with this one. This is your thing. All right. Tennessee, Jacksonville again. Tennessee, we've seen what we've seen out of these guys. Again, they're a shell, their former self. And they can only do so much with Mike Vrabel. I mean, he's been a really great coach, and he's been able to get through situations like this.
Right.
But it's just too much at this point. And now Jacksonville's just riding high. They're going to come into this on fire, wanting to make this playoff push here. I think they're locked in. The quarterback and the coach here are in sync now, and they're running on all cylinders. I like the Jacksonville Jaguars here at home.
Yeah, I mean, how could you not like the Jaguars at this point? Jaguars are playing great football right now for what they have available, and they got a lot of momentum. And that's something that's really big going into the playoffs. So looks like they will get this game. I hope Dobbs has a little success so he isn't the worst quarterback ever to start. But all in all, Tennessee, they got a really big uphill climb here to beat the Jags. So I think the Jaguars are too much.
All right, that leads us into the Sunday games here. We got the Baltimore
now we're
Ravens,
going to
right?
Sunday.
Sunday
geez.
here, January 8th. How about that? The Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals. Again, this game, these guys, hate each other. Mm-hmm. It's always a knockout, drag-out game too. But what kind of team are we going to see out of the Bengals at this point? Coming, because even though they were still affected by that game, whether it was their teammate or not. And going through that situation and then coming back out here and going into play again, at least get to stay home. They're going to be at home and the jungle's going to get wild here. And we talked about it, man, that game, it looked bad for the Bills. So, the Bills not being able to play that game, for them, I mean, Cincinnati had come to play, and that crowd was rocking. So it's going to be the same thing here for Baltimore. Now, if it's going to be Hundley again, he's got another thing coming. It's going to be rough for him coming out of here. Is Lamar going to sit? Is he going to be able to play? I don't know exactly right now. We're not hearing a whole lot out of this, so it doesn't look good for them. And it stinks because you talked about it before when they had their opportunities just to roll into this playoffs, and now they're just dropping. And okay, I guess we're good with that.
It's getting a little scary.
But what is Lamar going to get after this whole situation? So that's instantly after this season's over. That's going to be the narrative for the Ravens. We're going to see the showdown with that.
Definitely going to be a headliner for everybody to watch.
And that quarterback carousel is going to get nutty this
and you're going to see a lot of fans, a lot of teams looking in to see what is the end result of the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson. What's that relationship like right now? Is there a lot of friction? Is that why they broke off talks and he was like, I'm not talking to you guys until the end of the season's over with? You know what I mean? So being his own agent, it's very difficult because you don't have that lawyer support that like knows the ins and outs of the rules and different ways of making a contract better for you versus the team, So in that aspect, I feel like that's where there is a standstill. I feel like Lamar doesn't want to feel like he's going to get bamboozled with a contract, but at the same time, he wants to, as long as the money is at a high point, wants to be one of the highest paid quarterbacks, and that's kind of been his goal up to this point. So I don't think he'll get that because I think the style of quarterback that he is, he's definitely improved as a pocket passer. But let's just face it, his real golden goose is running ability, and that's what makes him really super dangerous. So going forward with Baltimore, a lot of teams are going to be watching this to see how this all ends up. You know what I mean? Will Baltimore have to be faced to put the franchise tag on him and kind of lock him in at least for 1 year and pay whatever it is, in the end? So very big situation, and I know a lot of teams would be very, very interested if he ever became available, whether it be trade, you know what I mean, or, maybe quite possibly if they just don't see the fit of the finances.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
A lot can happen.
So what do you got? You got Cincinnati here at home. It's just got to be the scenario here for for Baltimore.
Yeah, you got Tyler Huntley, who's kind of struggled the last couple of weeks. So, I mean, to me, this is not really that difficult of a pick. However, just like you brought up with Cincinnati, what kind of emotions are they going to be feeling on Sunday? I feel like they're going to be able to play through them, but it's still going to be super difficult. So Cincinnati needs to handle business. They know that, and they're going to be all business on Sunday. I think this is going to be a close game right down to the wire. Who knows what's going to happen? But I think I like my chances with the Bengals.
Yep, and I will be agreeing with both of you hopping on with the Bengals. If Lamar was playing, it'd be a little different.
Yes,
but with him not practicing since early December, I don't see them just bringing him in all of a sudden and letting him start this week, especially with the playoffs around the corner and seeding for them almost being locked up, minus a small scenario for them to win the division. But I'd be shocked to see him out there at this point.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised this week for the Bengals if we see someone like, I know T. Higgins was struggling with his emotions after the game. He knows it's not his fault, but just he's at the center of the play.
Yeah.
So, going through your head, you're going to blame yourself. There's going to be a lot of emotions to go with that, and it's hard for me to imagine he's going to be 100% mentally coming into this week. But luckily you got Boyd and you got Chase, so I don't think there'll exactly be a drop-off.
All right, bring us into the next one, Cody. What do we got next?
Yep, into the next one, we got Tampa Bay and Atlanta.
Ooh, we love this one, don't we, Joe?
Oh, this is the best one.
Yeah.
This should be the game of the week.
Yep. Oh, speaking of Atlanta, there was one more comment from Brandon. Just says, nope equals Raiders' chances of winning.
There
Clearly.
you go. See, it was.
See,
There you go.
I was
No love.
right.
See,
I was
you were
right. He's never watched a Raiders-Chiefs game.
He said, "Rise up, baby."
Yeah, there you go. He's ready for the Falcons here.
There you go. He's
With
all
Tampa,
in on the Falcons.
it's anything. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What team are we getting out of this one? You know what I mean?
I mean, look at what they've done. Last week, it seems like Mike Evans and Tom Brady found love once again on the football field. They finally started to get the ball to Evans. Evans catching the football, intermediate to deep. And it looks like that offense looked a little bit better than what it has been, especially getting a little bit more help on the offensive line.
Well, it's tough though. But you look at them, and they were able to put up those 27 points or whatever at the end. They did. I was waiting when I did my picks again. When I went with Tampa Bay, I just had a feeling. I'm like, I really need some of that Tom Brady magic or whatever for them to come back because I knew they were going to be down. And look at it was right to the end, and then they ended up coming back and securing that victory. Like, they're doing this nonstop. I mean, the Giants put up more points than Tom Brady and the Buccaneers at this point, and they've been kind of doing that, I think. Isn't that kind of crazy at this point?
Yeah, I would say so. And I would also say that, that was a little bit of Carolina letting that game slip away.
Yeah, absolutely. But that is Tom Brady magic. You know what I mean? How many times, Tom, he doesn't exactly truck teams down there, even though they try and say it. A lot of teams give up or do stupid, things and give it and let them back into the game.
Yeah, and that's the teams allowing it to happen. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we've seen the so-called Tom Brady magic. There's no real magic. It's just teams being stupid at the end.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Yeah, this game, honestly, this is kind of like an easy pick. I don't expect Atlanta to come away with the win here. However, who knows, right? I'm going to go with the Buccaneers on this one. Tom Brady, they need some momentum to go into the playoffs. Getting another win under their belt right before it is the key to do that. So, I'm going with the Buccaneers.
All right, here we go. He's got the Bucs. Cody, what do you got for this one?
Let's see, I will also be taking the Bucs, but it really wouldn't surprise me to see Atlanta go a little crazy in this game. I think it'll be a lot closer than people are giving it credit for, but there's no way I could pick Atlanta with how inconsistent they've been on both sides.
Rookie quarterback. Not ready.
Yeah, Desmond Ritter.
Go stupid.
Again, I don't know. Maybe all of a sudden, they put like Tom Brady in, but then they've already got the division locked in. So they're in. So I wouldn't be surprised if his scenario is they take Tom Brady out and Mike Evans, some of these guys, halftime.
They put in the young
and
quarterback.
Put in just other people.
The young QB.
And then now Atlanta just pulls out a victory here out of nowhere. That scenario can likely happen in this one. You know what I mean? Because, again, they're looking at it, too. It's like, all right, Desmond Ritter's going to go in against us. We already got the division locked up. We'll play a half and then rest these guys. But in lieu of that happening, I'm just going to not risk it on that. I'm going to rule. I'm just going to go with you guys.
You got a lot of
I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Sounds like.
Well, I'm just saying that could happen. Brandon, what is it? Here you go. Brandon's there in the comments.
He's going to pick Atlanta. He already said rise up.
Let's see.
Oh, it's the next one. He said, we don't have as much going on for the rest of the season, so we sent a practice squad wide receiver up to fight a cop.
Yeah,
you're talking.
It's in the drop. Yeah.
Yep. Was that Batson, right? That the name I saw? I think so.
Sure, we'll go with that. He's Mr. Irrelevant in my book. So.
Go crazy. Yeah, go stupid.
So there we go. We got the Atlanta Falcons, Tampa Bay. We got
so
Tampa
we're all
Bay.
picking the
so
Bucs,
we're all picking
right?
the same again. Yeah, here we go. We got
New England
Patriots
at Buffalo.
in Buffalo. Joe, why don't you start us off with this one?
Well,
here?
that's what I was going to do.
Go.
I didn't need you to tell me what to do.
Oh, good.
Anyway, Patriots at Buffalo. This is another game. Like, listen, one of their fallen brothers is in the hospital. There's going to be crazy emotion into this game. Like, this is direct hit right to the heart. So we're not really sure how they're going to handle it emotionally. But obviously he's going to be in their thoughts for sure. So Josh Allen, the leader of the team, the quarterback, I wonder how he's going to handle it. Is that going to disrupt his concentration, his focus? So I think, or it could be the direct opposite, where they're doing it for DeMar. You know what I mean? We're going to continue the success that we've had this season for DeMar and keep his spirits high. So could be very different things. But New England, they need the win. They need to keep winning. And this is a big. This would be a huge hurdle if they were able to do it. We've seen New England's defense play really well at times. We've also seen them have some miscues at times. In the offense, more miscues than anything. So even though they had limited success on offense, I feel like the Bills' defense is going to hold it down in this one. They're at home. They might even use that emotion as fire to will themselves through this game. So I'm going to pick the Bills in this one.
All
right, Cody, give it away. What do you got?
Next year. Yeah. So when you're looking at the Bills' defense, one of their strengths is that front right up the front four.
Mm-hmm.
So in the Patriots, the way they get everything going is it seems to be Ramondre Stevenson this season. So they like to get him going. Then that opens up the passing game for Mac Jones, and then he can kind of get everybody involved a little bit. But against the Bills, I don't really see it getting going too much. I don't see them getting Stevenson going much. And the Bills, this might turn into a pretty ugly game, especially with all the emotions the Bills are feeling. They're playing for Hamlin. So this will just kind of be the game of them just going crazy before the playoffs. And, maybe before their next game if something crazy happens. But I'm going Bills all the way.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough not to. But again, like you guys brought up emotions, I think the defense is going to feel the emotions the most. And it's how are they going to react? Are they going to put too much into it to where they overly bite on plays or whatever and want to get things hyped up? Are they going to go into it with too much and then all of a sudden the game starts getting fast for them? Then they got to settle it down. They got to bring it in, right? Bring it all in. That's one thing to watch. And Stephon Diggs is probably one of the most emotional people then too. I'm not worried so much about Josh Allen, but Diggs, because again, before that game, he was worried about not getting enough touches too. Mm-hmm. So he wants to get his, especially in this one too. So he's going to want to be a part of the offense here for them. But like you guys brought up too on the same thing, the question marks with the offense, and then that defense, again, they're going to get some pressure, but the way this Bills offense is, I think they're going to be able to score on this defense. They've been leaky at times throughout the season, and the offense led by their defensive coordinator with Matt Patricia. There's arguments between him and Mac Jones, stuff like that. That's going to be turmoil, I think, through the off season. They might make a switch, I think, at this point too in the off season after this whole thing, because it looks like to me it's definitely Mac Jones's team, and we'll see what kind of what kind of play he has in things, because we've seen Robert Kraft definitely surrender to a quarterback, and if he thinks Mac Jones is that guy, just like a Tom Brady and that leader, I wouldn't be surprised if he puts some of that power or listens to what he wants and put that in his hands. But for this game, I think, again, emotions could come into play at first, but I think the Buffalo Bills settle it in and they pull out the victory here at home. The crowd's going to be all about it too and roaring. They're going to stand by there and be their shoulder for them throughout the game.
Yep. All right, Jimmy, you starting us off with the next one.
All right, the Vikings
pick of the week, for being honest.
Easiest one, because we were talking about it off air, right? Yep. So the Chicago Bears gonna be without their starting quarterback, and that's pretty much said it done for them. That was gonna be their offense. Since they tried to even cash in their season, they have been putting up some points and making some close games until it gets out of hand, but. The Bears just are the Bears. They are who we thought they were at the beginning of the season at this point, too. I mean, just they weren't going to perform well. They're a franchise just starting anew with a new, regime and a head coach. So they're just going to be growing pains. But right now, it's the end of the season. Minnesota's there. It's going to be a rivalry game, but it's not going to matter at this point. Minnesota's going to cruise through this one. They're suffered that loss last week, got demolished against the Packers.
I'll laugh if they lose this one.
They want to make a statement. I will laugh, too, as well. Because
nice.
Chicago, they do play better at home, too, which is nice. But I think the Vikings are going to go through here.
Yeah, Justin Fields doing his best impression of Lamar Jackson. I mean, that's what's really kind of been keeping this Chicago offense going and being able to score points and staying in games. Yeah. Now they don't have that. Yeah. But they have none other than our very own Nathan Peterman, a guy that has single-handedly, with the Bills, has thrown 5 interceptions in one game. It's been absolutely amazing. And if you ask certain people in the NFL, they love the guy because he's a great practice guy. And the team likes him. But going into this game, I can only imagine, will he beat his past record of 5 interceptions in a single game. I
knows?
think he could. I think he possibly could. And this is against a Vikings team that is not only in a need for a win now, they need something to look forward to. But this is a team that's been struggling, and I feel like this matchup right now at this time with Fields not being available to Chicago, this is something that you got to, put it away. Lock it in, get this W, and going into the playoffs. So I'm going to go with the Vikings as well.
All right. I mean, I put this one pretty simply when I was talking to you guys earlier. Just no Fields, no chance. Even with him on the field, their offense just, at least in the passing game, has not looked like what they wanted it to look this season. They even made the move to go out and get Claypool, and that's just borderline been irrelevant. I've kind of forgotten that he was there for a while until this injury.
Yeah. Basically, yeah, same thing. Me too. I'm like, yeah, man. Like, yeah, it's like you talk about some of those teams where these players get traded away to die. I mean, they're like, oh, you just sent me to nowhere. And that used to be Cleveland, but now it's Chicago at this point, right? But yeah, all right, there we go. So we got Minnesota, Chicago. Cody, where are we going next here, buddy?
All right, we're going on to the Battle of the Bad Teams coming up this week with Indianapolis and Houston.
Houston, though,
and
man.
I will be shocked if Houston even tries to win this game. Right now, they have the number 1 pick on lock. I know everyone says, teams don't throw games. We see it almost every season. Teams don't want to lose that number 1 spot. And if they won this game and Chicago lost, Chicago would take that number 1 pick slot. And Houston is just, they've been horrible this season, but the one thing they've been good at is losing games.
Sit down.
And even against the mess of a Colts team, I think the Colts will the Texans might keep it close so that we can't say, oh, they threw the game.
I think they will.
But the Colts will probably end up winning this game probably by like 3 to 6 points at the end. There might be some long field goal.
So it'll be 0 to 3 or 6.
Well, that sounds pretty accurate.
But this Houston team, that's what I mean. It's like, because when we're watching it and we watch them play against the Cowboys, it looks like they had the Cowboys on the ropes, right? And then they do their thing. Oh, we got to lose. But then the week after, they pull out a victory again. Like, why? What are you doing? You come out with this, but now, like you said with Cody, it looks like you got this locked up. You just got to lose again. What Houston team are we going to get? You know what I mean?
I got a question, Cody. What's Houston's record right now?
Houston's record, I believe it is
They got 2, right?
2-13-1. Right? That's right. Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2-13-1.
They had that one
and I
tie.
think the Bears have one more win or something like that.
Right? Did they have a tie? So, I mean, do they have half a game?
Yeah.
No, they
Oh,
do
do they have a
one
tie? Yeah, I'm trying to remember the ties that were in the game.
The funny thing
I
is
can't
about
remember who
this
they
game.
tied with, but they do have a tie in the record.
The funny thing is about this is that Lovie Smith is playing for a job. He's going to be coaching this game to try to win it, to prove to Brass that he can still get it done. So there's like 2 contrasts to this. Lovie Smith wants to win, but the organization might not want to win. They want to keep that number 1 spot, guarantee them the player of their choice at the top of the draft board. But Lovie wants to prove himself still. You know what I mean? So it's like, I wonder what kind of discussions were had before we get to this game. Like, Lovie, hey, listen, we really like you, but you got to do a huge favor for us. We want to lock this number 1 spot up.
Yep.
Do whatever you have to make it happen. And if by some chance he screws this up, I don't think he should ever coach in the NFL again. I mean, this guy even had the audacity to rotate a position in terms of quarterbacks. I've never seen that before. Like the second half of the season, he just decided, hey, everybody's going to get to play. It's like flag. Everyone gets to touch the football. Get right in there. Throw the ball a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's been terrible to watch. So I think he's done enough to lose the job, but hopefully he doesn't screw this up. For the Colts, though, I think they're finally playing the right quarterback. I think Sam Ehlinger now finally getting a shot to prove himself again. And I feel like the offense ran well the 2 games that he played. Not great, but it ran better than when Matt Ryan was in it. Ran better than Nick Foles because, I mean, you don't have to do much to play better than Nick Foles.
Yep.
But now here's a shot for him to maybe make his pitch and saying, hey, don't be so quick on maybe going out and getting a quarterback. Maybe I could be the guy. So this is his time to shine. They do have some issues, as we talked about earlier, on offensive line. Yeah. That's going to be tricky to handle. But the Colts, I think with the Colts defense, the little bit of success they had last week, hopefully it carries into this week. I think that's going to kind of nail the win here for the Colts. I think Sam Ehlinger is going to kind of just be game manager, not try to do too much, and then they're going to come away with the win. And
my God.
Maybe Jeff Saturday. Maybe Jeff Saturday has a chance to negotiate of staying with the Colts.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be tough. I don't know if he was there just to be the pansy for everything, a patsy. But
he's
this
trying.
team, yeah, I know.
He's going to be pitching.
It's funny though too how he tries to bring the emotion into it all and goes after Thibodeau for. Again,
I know how to lead men.
Oh yeah, I know how to lead men.
You heard that? You heard
that?
What
he did there too.
Yeah,
trash move. Why you do that? And it's funny that after we're talking so much about some of these teams, Houston and what a shithole they are and stuff, and what they've been doing, and now that we have to try and praise the Indianapolis Colts that maybe they can get a victory out of this one, and you would hope so because they do stay in the games for a little bit.
Someone's got to win,
and then somebody's got to win. Maybe
or
unless they do tie again.
This end up in a tie.
Please no.
But you would hope that maybe they might in this one. And like you said, Nick Foles, he's kind of playing himself into that situation to where now, Detmer is now just saying, you know what, you guys, I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy. It's like, even, he can win a Super Bowl. It's going to be Nick Foles. Well, even Nick Foles has won a Super Bowl. So he's going to be that guy. He's talking himself into that situation here.
No, he's not.
But again,
no, he's not.
Again, this game, I don't even want to pick it, but yeah, if I'm going to lean on one, I'm going to go with the Colts as well.
All right.
What do you think, Cody? You going to go? You going to play with Houston here?
Oh God, no. No. I'm going Colts.
All right, excellent.
I'm not that crazy.
All right, here we go. Next again, the Jets and the Miami Dolphins. Joe, take it away on this one. What do you got?
Yeah, this is going to be a good matchup. I think it'll be good as long as Tua can play. And that's been the biggest question mark right now. It doesn't look like he will.
I think Tua's out, and Teddy also.
And Tua still has to clear concussion protocol.
Yeah.
So it's a big if. It's possible he could be cleared before game day. And maybe,
Didn't they rule Tua out for this week? I believe
not right now.
Coaches said he's not even in the game plan or in any of their plans this week.
As of right now, they haven't ruled him out, and this is as of today.
Okay.
But
I saw a report.
It just says that he did not practice today, and there hasn't been a decision about this week. But again, it's not looking good because it's midweek. But we've seen this happen before where they kind of still have to go through concussion protocol. They have until Saturday to be deemed able to be pass it, and if he doesn't, and Teddy Bridgewater looks like he's going to have an issue. He dislocated his pinky with his throwing hand, which is that's critical. Yeah. So it looks like he might not even be able to go on top of that, which brings you to
Skylar Thompson, which we got to see a little bit.
Yeah, he's bad.
Yeah,
I mean, I saw enough. When I watched that game, I saw enough. Like he the problem with him is that he makes way too many bad decisions as a quarterback. And then that doesn't spell a winning way for them this week, but it leaves the door open for the Jets now. Mike White did practice in full. He's ready to go, but he's also coming in with this Jets offense a little hampered. They're heavily injured on the offensive line. They went as far as to bring in Laurent Tardif to spell him at guard, and now he's not practicing. Jesus, this is going to be interesting. But because of the situation with Miami and their quarterback situation, I feel like the Jets defense has been playing great all year. Mike White is healthy. That definitely gives them more than enough chance to put points on the board. Even though it's a divisional game, it's probably going to be right down to the wire. But I think the Jets edge out Miami.
All right. I'll hop into this one next then.
Then just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah, I will also be going with the Jets over the Dolphins this week. It's not looking good for Tua. It's not looking great for Teddy, who he reportedly can't even really grip the football just yet.
No, that's crazy.
And Skylar Thompson just is not the answer. They borderline might want to consider letting Mike Glennon come in at that point, but Not that that's much of an upgrade.
No. Again, we've seen the Mike Glennon experiment. He's found himself onto a team somehow too, a bunch of different times. Say, oh yeah, Mike Glennon, he was okay as a starter at times. He can get you through it.
Early in his career, maybe.
Yeah, early in career, and then again, that ship sailed pretty quickly. But yeah, same along the lines you guys are talking about. Again, the main key components to the Jets team are playing, and I think that's what makes a difference here in this one. Again, so I think we're all on the same page with this one.
Yeah, we're all
and that's the other thing about Mike Glennon, too, is he signed as an insurance policy.
Yeah.
That's all
he
it
isn't going to go in as a Baker Mayfield. Because he hasn't even been playing much like Baker Mayfield was.
But that's exactly the situation, is that it's Baker Mayfield, but he's just coming in like a day or two ago. You know what I mean? Like, he's not going to know any of the offense. They might be able to teach him like 5 plays and say, here you go, kid. Backyard football. Go for it. So I don't see him coming in unless it's an emergency for sure.
All right, here we go. We've got the Carolina Panthers here against the New Orleans Saints. Cody, why don't you start us off in this one?
Okay, yep. I will be going with the Saints over Carolina in this game after the very disappointing loss that removed them from the playoff picture last week. Between motivation and just the Saints arguably having the more talented roster, I think the Saints, it'll be close. It'll be like 17-14. It'll definitely be a close game with a lot of iffy offense being played, but I think I'll definitely be going with the Saints going out ahead on this one. Probably Shaheed making some other crazy big play like he's been doing. Let's see, Joe, will be going to you after that.
Appreciate it, bro. This game here, like, this is, I'm still kind of disappointed for the Saints fans, honestly. When Jameis Winston came back and he was healthy enough to play and they still didn't play him, and they're like, nope, we're sticking with Andy. And Andy has literally lost 2 games by himself. So
Interception machine.
I still don't understand what they're thinking. I still don't get it. The coaching staff, I know, they're supposedly safe is what we're hearing. They're not going to lose their jobs. They're going to see what happens next year with them, and most likely a healthier team. But, man, I still think Andy Dalton is holding back this offense. And I don't even know if Chris Olave is playing. He didn't play last week, but it doesn't look good. Defensively, though, they're healthier. That's the bright side. Carolina, what the hell are you doing last week? You just let that game slip through your fingers. Sam Darnold made a mistake. And it kind of really hurt them bad. So Carolina, who is not ready yet, we thought they were going to be at least competitive this year, and in fact, they're not. This is a game where I think they're going to end up going into New Orleans and sadly be shipped right back out with an L.
There you go. So you are going with the Saints as well. Again, I'm looking at personnel's same way. What you guys kind of been even doing. Even though if they don't have like a Chris Olave there too as well, I still think if you can go off of an Alvin Kamara. Plus, the Saints, what they have been doing lately is what we've been talking about on the show, and then what
Taysom
also,
Hill.
what fans have been asking for finally. You're seeing Taysom get those different looks at the red zone and things like that, and getting him more involved in multiple different ways instead of just that guy that comes in on a wildcat and, oh, guess what? It's a quarterback run, planned run or something like that. And instead of just keeping him in at tight end or whatever. So they're mixing it up, getting it involved, moving him around a little bit, keep people guessing. And I think we talked about it before, too. That's what's going to help secure Dennis Allen as that head coach for this team moving forward, even the ability to kind of get through that in the situations that they've done. But question marks, like you said, at the end of the season, they're going to evaluate this team and see what they're going to do with Jameis Winston. It's obvious here. It looks like that this regime now has maybe moved on now from him. So what do they do in the offseason? But Carolina, again, they are who we thought they were at this point, too, because, again, you've switched your head coach. You got rid of your other key players and stuff like that. Sam Darnold, it's nice that he came in and got some victories here for you, but I think it's just too little too late here. New Orleans at home is tough. I like the Saints. All right, next we got the Cleveland Browns, Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a tough divisional matchup. It's going to be tight here. I know it's definitely a different team here for the Cleveland Browns when Deshaun Watson is in here. But Pittsburgh, they've really turned it on. And Kenny Pickett, too, as well. I think he's turning some heads with people the way he's had that poise, especially in the fourth quarter of that last game, getting that drive here to get the victory. and he's really kind of becoming that star player for the Pittsburgh Steelers here. When it was rocky, I think at the beginning, I think we can all agree on that it was kind of where people were unsure what we were getting out of this guy. So it was up and down, and where people were questioning even. Mike Tomlin, like, oh, man, you're having a losing season. Like, what's going on? What's that like for you? But, yeah, you know what I mean? And
how do you feel?
It's like, yeah. And he's like, I was on a terrible team when I was little, and we won one game or something like that. We went out to dinner after that where, it was awesome. It was a cool story. But Pittsburgh, they one of those grind out teams, and they're one of those teams that still is able to do it, Joe. I talked about it in the beginning of the season about maybe they have the potential here to get fourth in the division, and they haven't done that since did I say like 1989 or 1986? It's been a long time.
It's been a while.
It's been a long time, and they just are one of those franchises that just kind of move on and keep winning. But Cleveland, again, they're out, so they're a tough team that doesn't have a real identity right now. I think I'm going to ride with the Pittsburgh Steelers at home and off what they've been doing. They're really feeding off the power of the quarterback. And you got a healthy T.J. Watt right now for the moment. And if they can get into the playoffs, they can maybe make some noise here.
Absolutely. And then you look at the Cleveland Browns. Like, what are they playing for?
Yeah.
Honestly, like Deshaun Watson,
play
it really
spoiler?
sucks that you got suspended for like over half the season, and we were expecting Cleveland to be kind of like a competitive team in this division and maybe make a push to win the division, but fell way short. Pittsburgh, we also saw them as not being very good. We also saw them as having limitations. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you one thing that changes franchises. Franchises faster is when you hit on draft picks and they perform right away.
Absolutely.
And that really kind of carries you. You think about George Pickens, which is the very reason why they traded away Chase Claypool. Like, don't get me wrong, Chase Claypool has talent and everything, but they saw limitations in his game, and they're like, he's not getting much better.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? So we really hold on to him. Chicago calls and say, hey, we'll make you an offer. Okay, ship him out because we got George Pickens in the building. Yeah. And then Kenny Pickett, despite criticism coming out of the draft, I know I've given him a hell of a lot of criticism with his hands and being able to grip the ball and make some plays. But I will say this, I still have yet to see a rainy game yet where he's going to be really tested. So, the jury's still out on him for me. I still see some miscues, some bad decisions, but nonetheless, he's not doing enough to ruin it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He's making the plays when they count and utilizing his legs a lot more often than what Pittsburgh's used to be seeing from none other than Big Ben, who does not run at all.
Right, and you bring that up real quick, and how they brought up the stat about Big Ben as he got older, even too, getting the ball out quicker than 2 seconds.
Yes.
Kenny Pickett holding onto it and making some plays out with his legs to buy some time.
Yeah, and when you face better defenses, that's when you're going to have to be able to deliver the football on time. And he hasn't been clamped up too often. So we have to wait and see for that to happen. But going up against Cleveland, I feel like Pittsburgh the defense is really going to help him out. And on top of that, this is something that they need to happen. They need to win. So I'm going with Pittsburgh.
All right. Cody.
Yep, I will be joining you guys.
All right.
Going with Pittsburgh also.
Damn it.
Now,
man, we're all on.
Don't crucify me for this comparison.
I will crucify you.
Here we go.
With how the Steelers are, letting the defense carry a lot of these games, but Pickett is coming in clutch. It's kind of giving me some vibes of how the Giants used to play for a while back when we had like Strahan on defense with Humanura, and Eli was pulling out these 17-14 close fourth quarter comeback games constantly. We're seeing a little bit of that, I guess. I don't know the right word for it, but we're seeing Kenny Pickett really stepping up in crunch time when he needs to right now. And going into the playoffs, if this team can sneak in, they might be a little bit of like a dark horse team that can sneak up. We see it almost every season. Saw it probably more recently with the Eagles coming up and winning the Super Bowl, coming from wild card. No one saw it coming. And the Steelers might be that team that could really pull it forward. Yeah, I'll definitely be sticking with the Steelers this week.
All right, here we go.
What is next on here? Next, we got the Chargers and the Broncos. And the Chargers don't have a lot to play for coming in this week, but the Broncos have been just disappointing and
even
bad
less to play for.
just about all season. They're banged up. It's just ugly. The Chargers could probably put in their backups and still pull out a close win the way the Broncos have been playing. Not many storylines to talk about with this one.
Hear that, Broncos fans?
I will be going with the Chargers. Sorry, Broncos fans.
There you go.
Joe, we'll go to you after that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
This one is like one of the roughest picks to make because neither team has played well. At times, the Chargers have looked like that promising playoff caliber team, but a lot of times they've played down to some other teams like Atlanta Falcons. They almost lost that game. And so they still got a lot to work on. And we still notice that the head coach is still at times going for it on fourth down, probably not when you should. And I feel like that's holding them back a little bit. But going up against Denver, I don't know. They don't look good on offense. Nathaniel Hackett is ousted. So, I mean, this team could be in disarray at this point. Who's running the ship anymore? So I'm going to go with L.A. in this one.
All right. Over to you on that one, Jimmy.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about on this one. Oh, yeah. Again, like you said, I think you guys have said it all, and there's not much to say about it. Nathaniel Hackett's out. This is what type of team or franchise this is right now. They're in disarray. They don't know what's going on. They might have made a big decision here, a bad decision with the Russell Wilson situation. Bringing him in, paying the money instantly before you even touch the field, and then wrong decision on getting the head coach in there, in which I think they only brought him in is just to try and squeeze in and try and get Aaron Rodgers to come. And then when Aaron Rodgers said no, or I'm not, they're like, shit, we're stuck with this dude.
Yeah, what did they think was going to happen?
Yeah.
Rodgers is going to.
I think that's all that was.
Rodgers going to leave Green Bay's
stuck with him.
Offensive line for the Broncos offensive line. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So I think that's the situation they're left with. So again, poor decisions to try and get in there and trying to persuade another quarterback to come to them didn't work, and that's where we're left. Where we are. Chargers again, they're already in, but again, so if they decide to switch players and pull out on this one too, just to rest a little bit, maybe halfway through, I can only maybe say that's a chance that Denver might win this one. But Chargers just a better off team right now. I like the Chargers. All right, Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles. This is probably the afternoon, game of the week. I don't know. I mean, because I don't think you're looking at the Dallas Cowboys of Washington, Rams and Seattle. Arizona and San Francisco not. So the way the Giants have been playing, I think this is probably America's game of the week here at the 425 slot. And it's going to be, I think, exciting too. I mean, even if Jalen Hurts plays, like we're talking about the injuries and stuff and the health, him coming back, it would be a game that he has to play just because of the implications.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, again, a rivalry game. The Cowboys are right on the heels of them. 49ers too as well in the mix. And they want to beat this divisional rival because if they split again, that's no good. And gives the Giants even, I think, that momentum. Like if Cody's talking about, the Steelers being that team almost like the stray hand, and I don't really see that much. Just because, again, what are we looking at with the Steelers? They just beat the Baltimore Ravens that didn't even have Lamar Jackson in there. They barely made it a comeback victory in that. And we're like, oh, yeah, they're playing great. This is good. But that team ended up like fighting hard against an undefeated Patriots team. And to get into the playoffs still, make the momentum, and then, again, beat them in the Super Bowl. That's a whole different type of level here. And I don't see our Giants team here doing something like that, but I would say there's more of a momentum shift in their situation that's a little more on the equal playing field of what that team was, in the sense that if they can beat the Eagles now, who right now are still at the top of the level of the NFC, that they go into this playoffs with that much more momentum now. So it'll be a tough year, but again, being in Philadelphia, Giants don't exactly play well in Philly. It's going to be tough. The crowd's going to be behind them. So I'm going to roll with Philadelphia on this one.
Yeah, I mean, this
Tough
one
to
is
say,
it's a tough game to pick because there's a lot of variables in these games.
Yeah.
It's not only one of the best divisional matchups there is, but also both teams are playing well. You know what I mean? The Giants, we didn't expect them to be this far. And I know you guys, as Giants fans, like you're surprised and happy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You guys are going in the playoffs. It was something that you didn't think was going to happen, but here we are. And this is a
That's
big
Cody's
time
happy
matchup.
face right now that he
You
has
know,
on right
yeah,
now.
absolutely. and now you have this is a huge game for both teams. I'll say one advantage is Philly being at home. Philly fans are crazy. You know, you can't get out of there alive if you're wearing a different color. So the Eagles, they're tough. They're even tougher with Jalen Hurts. I think it's almost a definite sure bet that Hurts is playing, and that alone is going to give them a huge boost, especially on offense. The one thing that kind of is going to be, to me, is something to watch for is Lane Johnson not going to be able to play. So that is a huge void at the right tackle. How they're going to address that and try to keep the pressure off of Hurts from that side, that's going to be another challenge for them. But I'm going to still stick with the Eagles on this because they are home.
All right. Now, while I will be sticking with the Eagles in my picks, I think this is
You want to compare the Giants to what?
I'm not comparing the Giants.
They remind me
to
of that San Francisco 49ers team with the guy named Joe Montana. Daniel Jones, much like Joe Montana, slinging the rock around.
Sounds legit.
And right now, a guy named Richie James reminds me a lot like that guy, Jerry Rice.
Jerry Rice.
They both wear number 80.
Now we're getting too crazy.
The number 80s right there.
But yeah, I think Lane Johnson not being there is going to just have a huge impact on this game. You won't see the Eagles able to just run it down our throats the whole time. You won't see Jalen Hurts having tons of time to throw, tons of room to run. And these last, say like 4 weeks, Thibodeau's really been coming into his all on that edge, really getting the pressures, helping stop the run. I think it's going to be a really good game. While I hope the Giants can pull out a close win, I think the Eagles got a little more going in their favor. I'll be sticking with that. All right. Just hit the All right, so I'll get us into our next one.
The next one. What do we got here?
All right, we got
a few more left over.
Got the Niners and the Cardinals. Well, this is another one of
It's a
those
tough
ones
one, isn't
that's
it?
not very exciting.
No.
Got the Cardinals, who have played down all season. The Niners, who are on a high, fighting for that number 1 seed. I think the Niners are going to come out motivated, and they are just going to destroy the Cardinals. It's going to be ugly to watch. I will be surprised if the Cardinals can stay within 20 by the end of this game. You might even see the Niners put in their backups by the end of it. It's not going to be a fun game to watch.
And their backups are better than the Cardinal starters.
At this point, yeah.
So I mean, right? This is a game that the Niners. It's like one of those like cream puff games. In college football, like the first week, you kind of do it for morale reasons. You get your team to go in and
that easy
you
one,
play a real
get
easy
the
one. You
momentum
just
going.
stomp them into the ground.
Yep.
You win like 60-0.
Yep.
This is kind of like what it is before the playoffs for the 49ers. They should easily handle the Cardinals. They both know each other very well, so that's kind of like the only thing that the Cardinals could have versus against any other team. But they know Niners well. But in the end, I think the Niners are going to take advantage of it. Brock Purdy's going to have one hell of a game because it's going to be way too easy. So Niners all the way.
Yeah, absolutely. When I look at this game, all I can think about is
Somebody kill me!
yeah, basically. I mean, yeah, I'm just like, and it was interesting to see the San Francisco 49ers get off to a slow start last week, but they did play a decent team. But the Arizona Cardinals, like you said, from the beginning, even when Kyler Murray was in there, from the scandal with the whole contract, and he's not paying attention, needs to do more studying. And then now the rotation of quarterbacks to McSorley and everybody, being on the Hard Knocks during the season, all that all tied together. Constant, questions about maybe their GM being fired, Cliff Kingsbury. So much around this team right now. They're just not ready for anything. They just need to hit the reset, go into the offseason, figure out what the hell they're going to do with a bunch of different situations. And so San Francisco 49ers, they're at home. They get crazy there too as well. They're going to cruise in here and put pressure on that number 1 spot. That means Philadelphia needs to perform and the Cowboys need to perform on here. So we'll see.
Yep. All right, Jimmy, you're going to kick us off with the Seahawks.
Oh,
and
I'm
the
going to love
Rams.
to on
Right
this
back
one.
at you,
Rams and the
buddy.
Seattle Seahawks.
We're going 2 in a row.
I would like to say Seattle at home because we've been doing this all years, right, Joe? We're like, I'm
pretty
only
much.
going with Seattle home just because of this. But I don't know. The Rams, they are a different team with Baker Mayfield there and stuff. And despite some of the injuries that they had and stuff, it is going to be tough because it is Seattle at home. But we have seen the difference between the Seattle team throughout the season as going. And Kenneth Walker hasn't looked like the same Kenneth Walker still when he came in and stuff, and not really getting.
He also hasn't practiced. He's banged up once again.
He's banged up. Yeah. That's the problem. Really the whole offense runs around through him, and that helps Geno Smith get it to these other receivers, because you saw even how the defense was playing against like a DK Metcalf, stuff like that, double teaming them, stuff like that, knocking the ball away, not giving them easy opportunities here. I see a lot of the same type of situations here for this with the Rams. I think the Rams are going to pull out a victory here, even though they're in Seattle.
Baker man.
Baker, the candlestick maker. Is this a different one that we have? This could be it. You guys, what do you guys got on this?
Could be. Like I would say this.
I threw it out there. It's dangling.
The Rams, and it's been a funny thing with the Rams. I mean, they've had to go through a multitude of changes throughout the year, whether it be because of personnel or the offense's changes, because they have a completely different quarterback now at this point, new lack of receiving threats. Van Jefferson gets hurt. Cooper Kupp is now down. He's out. Aaron Donald, buddy, you got to retire, man. Just give it up. And then on top of that, unless you want to go to a winning team, that is. But on top of that, just too much negative, negative feedback from certain players and everything. Jalen Ramsey, like, he's one of the biggest trash talkers in the league that does absolutely nothing.
Sit down.
Like he'll say, "Oh, you're not going to catch a single ball on me," and then 6 catches and 140 yards later with 2 touchdowns. Yep. He kind of just bothers me at this point. Time to retire. I would say you're no longer deemed as a top 10 corner, so shut the fuck up. But Seattle, this is a team that always plays extremely tough in Seattle. And just like you brought up, Jim, like, it's the 12, They are going to be enforced there. They are going to be loud. The Seattle team they're kind of, they're a little bit beat up right now with Kenneth Walker. He hasn't practiced today. Who knows what happens the rest of the week. But they're a team that is still fighting. They're still playing at a high level. There's a lot of energy on the football field. The defense looks good. And Geno is still, kind of going to file his application of keeping me as your starter. So I think Geno obviously wants to have a really big game in this one to kind of help prove to the organization, like, hey, maybe you sign me for another 2-3 years or something like that. Lock me in. So I'm going to go with Seattle in this one. I like Seattle at home against the Rams.
Boy, and I'm going to spank you.
No, please do.
All right. So while I've liked what I've seen so far from, the cool Baker story of getting signed 2 days before a game, coming in, winning the game, and the next game offensively going crazy, putting up, 42 points, was it? It put up a lot of points. That's what matters there.
Just make up a number. Everyone will believe you.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. But yeah, I will still be picking the Seahawks. I think they got a lot more going for them. They have a lot more to fight for right now. I think it'll stay a close game if Baker can keep this offense rolling, and if they can get Cam Akers going on the ground.
That's a big deal right there, yeah.
That'll be huge in making sure this offense can run. But Seahawks, they have more weapons. They're healthier, and it's just not going to be. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that close.
All right.
Yeah, Tyler Lockett is someone to keep an eye on too, because I know he didn't practice today either. Oh. But again, it's midweek. It's like kind of way too early to kind of like make a clarification for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Cody, take us off with the next one here.
All right, we got Dallas and Washington. Well, we watched last week as Washington decided, let's just throw away our playoff hopes. They're done. Just let Wentz go in there, throw 3 interceptions, and let's call it a day. Now this week, they're throwing in Sam Howell. They're throwing him to the Wolves against the Cowboys defense.
Yes.
And it'll probably be painful to watch, as were a lot of Sam Howell's games in his senior year. So I will be going Dallas. It's going to be one of those games that could end like 36-6. It could be just horrible to watch. And I feel pretty bad for Sam Howell, who had a decent preseason.
Oh,
See,
it
I
could
don't
be.
think
Yeah.
there's much more to touch on there. Joe switched.
We're just
All
skip
right,
our picks.
so-
We just don't want to do this one.
It's Dallas Cowboys all the way on this one. Washington, as soon as they announced, I thought Taylor Heineke was going to come back and be the starter. And then as soon as they're like, you know what? Nope, curveball. Here comes Sam Howell.
Yep.
Let's see what he can do in 1 week. You know, he could be the difference of just a runner, just plain running. That's all I see from him. I saw him in college football. He wasn't impressive.
Nope.
You know, he has a lackluster arm, you know, not extremely accurate, and I saw enough in college. So, yeah, I don't think much of Washington this week. Dallas all the way.
All right.
Yeah, I know. I hear you. And that's what I think this the Washington Commanders are doing.
We fucked up.
You know, that's what they're doing right there. Basically, they're saying like, "Oh, we did this, and we're just gonna put Sam Howell in now. It's just make it a total disaster, right? It's over." So Washington again, it's all written off here. Dallas, I think they want to get a good game here. This is like you talk about one of those games the college teams trying to do. The NFL laid it out right here, and so did the Commanders here for them to have one of these guys going into the playoffs, get some momentum going. Really, again, force it now, you know, with the 49ers playing for something, them get a victory and really pin it up against all on the Eagles. It's all on the Eagles who have been on a losing streak.
I mean, the other
Dallas
aspect
wants to do that.
of Washington for playing Sam is because they already know they're out, and they want to see what he could possibly give them.
Yep.
But how can
A heart
you
attack, maybe.
But
I don't know.
here's the thing that's a little puzzling for me. Is that
man.
you know, now you wait till now, like the last week, he's literally got 1 week to show you anything.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
of
it.
live
That's
action.
That's all you got.
Until
Yeah.
next
Yeah,
preseason
yeah.
games
You might
or
as well have
something.
done it
To
last
stay
week
on this
too.
roster or not.
So I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. I think they just obviously like they're just a disaster at this point, and I don't know where it's going to be headed after this. Because look at Dan Snyder and the turmoil that he's got going on, court cases and everything. He could possibly be forced to sell this team. And if that was to happen, you have completely new ownership. Now, when new ownership comes in, they might want a different staff. They might want their staff. You know what I mean? Ron Rivera won't be their guy. It'll be the previous owner. So a lot could change this offseason as well.
Yeah. And then again, that could be even the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
How about that reference, Joe? Old school. But imagine that now that the owners will finally say, you know, forget all the sexist stuff and the racist stuff you've done. What the hell your team has done this season is enough just to strip the team
punishment.
away from you.
It's
right
enough
now.
punishment,
You do not deserve to own this team. You know, technically I don't. My wife owns it. You know, so.
You
not my fault.
haven't met our standards.
So, all right, Cody, bring us into this last one here. It's Monday Night Football. It's going to be the last Monday Night Football of the season.
Let's
Right
go,
now.
Cody.
I
Get
think
pumped.
it's
Do
actually
they?
Sunday night for that game.
Oh, is it?
Remember.
Oh, it is.
It
That's
is
right. They
Sunday
don't even
night.
have
No
Monday.
Monday
Monday
nights.
night is over. That's right. So it is
Yeah.
Sunday night. So we won't have a Monday night.
Yep, we saved
So
one
we're
of-
free Monday,
one of the
guys.
better
What are we
games
gonna
to
do?
talk about for last at least?
All
So
right.
we got Detroit and Green Bay, but it's in Lambeau. And for anyone who's seen, you know, Jared Goff in the past, when he plays in games that are below freezing, it's just not at a high level. I think it's like 5 started games, 3 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He doesn't play at a very high level. I can hope it's a little different for the Lions here, but the Packers are used to this. It's Aaron Rodgers, who's 3-0 in these kind of games. I think it was 1 in 2010, 2013, and 2018 for winning in kind of games. And Rodgers, this is his bread and butter.
That is correct.
He's been doing this his whole career. When he is needed to come out and make the big plays to make the playoffs, this is when Rodgers does his best, even with all the Christian Watsons and the inconsistencies around him. So I will be going the Packers in this one.
All right, Packer man. Go,
We've got
Pack,
the
go.
Packers. Go.
Yep.
Joe, what do you got?
Detroit, listen, I feel like they would be a lot better playing in this type of cold if they just didn't have a dome. I mean, you're in a division where the Packers
Everybody else
utilize
plays,
that
yeah.
advantage and they play in this type of cold and everything. I wonder if like these teams, you know, were ever thinking about that, like when they went and go ahead and decide how to build these stadiums. It's like, okay, well, our rival plays in the cold weather and they're adapted to it, but we play in a dome.
I think partially some of it is the city putting in the money into it too, and maybe
Well, it costs
possibility of hosting a Super Bowl though, maybe too, and bringing revenue into the city.
Well, I don't know about Detroit. But in Green Bay, like this is Cody's right. This is where the Packers thrive. Later in the season, in the cold, no matter who they play, when they're at home, it is like they're just at another level.
Yeah.
And Rodgers really plays extremely well with the pressure on him in the cold and all the naysayers. Listen, look at what we seen from Green Bay earlier this season. Oh, they're terrible at first half of the season. They can't get it together. They don't really have any receivers that can help Aaron Rodgers out. Aaron Rodgers is even playing like garbage, you know? And then all of a sudden, they started to get it together little bit by little bit every single week. And now we're seeing a completely different Packer offense than we saw early in the year. This is what they do. You know, they kind of fight back. They fight, and they're right back into the swing of things. So Green Bay, they need this win too. You know, they got to have this. So I'm going Green Bay in Titletown, and they're going to lock it up right here.
Nice.
All right.
Yep, I think just with the cold weather in that game, it also plays a little more into the favor of the Packers' new style. Because it's weird to see an Aaron Rodgers-led offense that's running the ball about 45% of the time now. They're finally been saying it all season. You got young receivers. You're struggling to pass. Put A.J. Dillon out there. Run the ball some more. That's why Jones is running for over 100 yards every game. Dillon's rushing for a touchdown every game. It's been nice.
And that's
Rare
something
just
that
making plays when he's asked.
That's something that they've been criticized early in the year. They're not running enough. You know, you're not keeping that offense balanced to the point where, like when you do play these tougher teams down the stretch, you're going to be able. You need that running game to kind of keep them honest. So finally, Matt LaFleur, you know, maybe after many arguments with Aaron Rodgers, you know, start to wake up here. So yeah, that's why, and you're right. That's where they're starting to get more of their success right now. Is now that they're running more, that offense is running is playing better, and they're putting points on the board.
Yep. Yeah. And like you guys said, you know, Detroit, they've been playing hard. They've been doing it, but again, that
I love Detroit.
I think situation here, the way it's been,
Cool
Aaron
story.
Rodgers again. When it comes down to this time, these big time players perform their best. And this is the crunch time. When you see them throughout the season and the struggles that they have, it's because even the personnel that they had, wide receivers, finally getting something going on with Christian Watson too as well, kind of getting a relationship with them. But you see these players eventually towards the end of the season. Now here they are, playoff time. Tom Brady still, even though that team sucks, they're still there. He's still there. He's still going to try and do his thing and lead his team. In Green Bay, they're still there too. As long as they have a chance, he's going to do whatever he can. You know why, too? Because it's Aaron freaking Rodgers. You know, but what they needed to do, like we talked about it again, about game plans. Matt LaFleur, I think, is another one that is susceptible to his own mind, wants to run his game plan and not evaluating what's they're giving him in the game. Change it up. What will work for you? You got these stars right here when you don't have stars in the wide receiver. You got these guys. Be a run first. Open it up. Alleviate some of that pressure, especially when you don't have the protection for Aaron Rodgers. Bakhtiari played a quarter of the season, you know, and it just wasn't helping them out. So now you can maybe hopefully get that line healthier now, playing all together.
They are healthy, actually, for once.
Yeah, and now keep that running game going. Make it easy, so now these receivers have time to get open too. I like the Green Bay Packers, especially too, because at home, playing in the cold.
Yeah.
Jared Goff, like he said too as well.
Right.
You're coming from even a Rams team that played in L.A. to a Detroit Lions team who plays in a dome, and it's a difference maker.
Yeah, and Aaron Rodgers has the Packer fans back. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You know, he said it before. He's like, relax, RELAX, relax.
Yeah,
he's got
absolutely.
it covered. He's got it covered.
He's on the ayahuasca, so he's feeling really good right now.
Right. But I mean, I will say this about Detroit.
Following
Listen,
the spirit horse.
Detroit has played miraculously well. They were competitive, surprisingly, a year ago. Now they're more competitive. They're inching closer to where they want to be. They just got to get, finalize getting more players on defense to really help out this offense, get on the field more. And we've already seen Detroit can handle themselves offensively. We've seen them rack up points. You know, we've seen them close in games. They came on the short end of the stick, but they still were close. So that's promising. So Detroit, I don't kind of in this game, I know the cold is a thing. I know they're coming into a hostile environment and all that. But I still think Lions still have a shot in this one. You know what I mean? Like, I know we're giving a lot of praise to Green Bay, and I know you guys kind of feel the same way.
Yeah.
But I want the viewers out there to understand, like, we still think this team could do it. They could possibly pull off an upset here.
Right. Yeah, because I'm even saying coming into this one, too, as the last Sunday night game of the season, this is going to be a good one. I think this is turned into something nice because Green Bay is finally coming around. The Lions are finally coming around. So I think this is going to be a nice one here, prime time.
Yeah,
let's go. A lot of people don't get to see the Lions prime time either.
No.
So, I mean, this is going to be exciting for them as a team, too, as well.
Right.
To see what happens.
Yeah. Hey, if you're new to the show, if you've lasted this long, right to the end, everybody.
It was a longer
we
show
know that
tonight, we had a lot of fun.
And we've had a lot of fun, and we know that we get some late bloomers once in a while. Like, we're about to end the show, and someone pops on.
Yeah, pops in a comment or something.
Like Obi-Wan Kenobi last week. You know?
Yeah,
Obi-Wan.
Yeah, from
Obi-Wan
YouTube.
always comes in every now and then.
But
I love it.
Anyway, listen, do us a huge favor. Head over to YouTube. We really need your help to kind of grow as a football community. We are the #1 interactive football talk show out there. We want to prove it. Drop some comments down below so we can react to them, answer any questions that you might have. But go over to YouTube, search us up, Football on the No Show. Hit that subscribe button, baby, and the ring that notification bell, let you guys know when we go live. You can also follow us on Facebook, become a member, become a nodal, and you can get this on the go as well. That's right. Football on the No can also be on the go. You know, anywhere you get your podcast, Spotify, iTunes, you name it, we're there. Drop a follow along. And if you want to be more interactive, do what I say. Go over to YouTube, subscribe, join in, comment, like the freaking video. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. Comment, like the video. Absolutely. Again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you so much to our sponsors out there, too, as well.
Yes.
And Colorize, I didn't bring them up earlier, but again, Colorize, 4 locations, now in North Greenbush, too, as well. So check them out, mycolorize.com. Paint Professionals, Benjamin Moore products, but as an independent dealer, they cover everything paint-related. So check them out at any of those stores here in their locations in upstate New York or mycolorize.com. Thank you so much, Mohawk Honda and PBK as well. Godzilla Media, we got a lot of stuff for you guys in the future. Thank you so much to Cody out there. His first night, he did a great job. Yeah. Everybody give a shout out to Cody.
Good job,
out there
Cody.
too, and happy. Good job here for Cody. Boom, yeah, he gets the DJ horn. So thank you so much, and we will see you guys next time.
Join us next week from 8 till 10 Wednesday night for more